All right, hey everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to CyberMasters. We're going to start around 8 p.m. here, just in a few moments. Just wanted to say hi to everybody. And welcome. I didn't realize it's 8 o'clock right now. We're
on.
It is
8 o'clock.
Welcome to CyberMasters.
Welcome to CyberMasters.
Excellent.
Hello,
Excellent. Let me introduce
very special guest,
our special guest,
Mr.
Brian Larsen.
Thank you.
Turn that thing down, please.
Yes, sir. I apologize. Thank you. So I just want to say, we're getting this great show going. Rick has decided to join us on a more regular basis.
They can't get rid of me.
No, absolutely not. And we've been friends a long time, so it's a great dialogue. And we have this fabulous individual who joined us today. And we have a great subject matter we're going to talk about. Let me just lay out real quick what we're going to show you today. Today's show is about the brain implants in Neuralink.
Yep. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Great story. We're going to tell you about that.
He wants to turn everybody into a Borg.
It's an interesting story. We're also going to mention the 8 competitors that are trying to beat him in his own game there, Secondly, we're going to be talking about something that's pretty important. The cyber sequence will be about how to secure Wi-Fi in your home.
Yep.
The fact is that when I drive around my neighborhood, probably more than 50% of the Wi-Fis are wide open.
Yep.
It's quite dangerous. Something we need to talk about.
And the wireless cameras and all that.
And the wireless cameras.
There's sometimes a separate
monitors.
System and baby monitors that all has to be secured.
Yes.
We're going to give you some good tips tonight on how to secure your own Wi-Fi at home and things you can do to secure your network.
Yep.
And even to secure access to other sites, like when you're browsing from your home network. So sometimes that could be a way for a hacker to get in when you attach to something else.
And gentlemen, don't forget, it's not only you at home, it's your kids, it's everybody else jumping on that Wi-Fi.
Baby monitors.
Baby monitors.
I remember the biggest site that was the most unsecure site was Nickelodeon's website when my son was little.
I love Nickelodeon.
That thing dropped more cookies into my son's computer than I can even tell you about.
Yeah, so it's really interesting actually because people don't realize what your kids are doing on
That's true.
on those pages,
Yep.
and there's 5 or 7 main points. A lot of them you can even do yourself.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or we'll at least tell you what to talk to your IT person about. Of how to set it up, There's a lot of misconceptions. The cable companies aren't telling you the full story all the time.
Get ready to write notes.
Yeah, write some notes, and we're available. You can ask us questions in the podcast and go through it that way. So our pleasure to present this information.
Yes.
But first and foremost, I'm a technologist for the last 30 years. Not to get into it, but I've done both government and private sector to an enterprise level. Rick here, please talk about yourself for a moment.
Oh, my background goes all the way back to, the early 1980s. I started with computers professionally in the early 1990s. I was a teacher for roughly, on and off for roughly 14 years.
Wow.
My professional life. I taught in both the academic and corporate side of teaching technology. And
So let me ask you something. In the 80s, the skinny leather ties are really popular.
Yes.
Did you have
and
them?
Capezios. and I had them both. Yeah.
The white
Yeah, I was like a Joe Jackson freak.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah,
that
man.
was a good look.
Got
I'm
the
sorry.
Time. Is he really going
with the
out
puffy
with her?
pants
Yeah.
over here,
Yeah.
know?
Well, no, I didn't have puffy pants. That
Okay,
was,
got it.
With the big hair.
Yeah, I had hair down to here, like woof. Yeah, we'll take a look at my Facebook page, R-I-K Nevone, Nevone.
Gotcha. But the skinny ties were really cool,
Yeah.
I got to say.
The
It was a
skinny
look
ties,
that
I
I
still
missed.
wear them sometimes.
Really?
Yeah,
I've
sure.
seen you with it. Yeah, it's more like a bowler now. They upgraded them, right, to like a Texas bowler kind of thing.
I also like, the regular nice ties that
Yeah.
you can buy at Barney's New York for $450.
Wow.
So those are cool too. Yeah.
Nice.
Actually,
That's-
ironic, you're the one who taught me how to tie.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
That's so nice.
Yes, this
Yes.
is Brian
For a long-
Larsen, everyone.
All right, so Brian Larsen, please tell us about yourself
Yeah,
and your
the-
amazing story.
I have also been in the IT industry for the better part of 25 years. Before that, I had my Commodore VIC-20.
VIC-20, nice. Good
Programming
one.
in BASIC in elementary school.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have worked both the network and the server side. You really can't divorce the two, even though most companies try to separate.
When you were doing BASIC, was it you by yourself? Was it a bunch of friends doing it
No,
together?
it was mostly by myself. We were actually learning it in elementary school, believe it or not. We got the Commodore PETs, the all-in-one with the screen.
Sure, the PETs.
Wow,
Yeah,
very progressive school district
yeah,
there.
Yeah. That was before Apple moved in, and
Yeah.
a couple of years later, Apple took over the education.
Yeah. I went to school in Port
One
Washington,
platform-
and Apple gave us those machines,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
how I learned how to use the Apple.
We
first.
actually recorded our programs on cassette tape,
Oh wow.
audio
Yeah,
cassette
yeah,
tape,
yeah,
and you'd have to wait. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Wow.
yeah,
Audio
hours, yeah.
cassette tape.
60-minute.
That's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've come a long way in a
We-
very short amount
Yes.
of time. You know.
Yes.
Wow.
Now you just pull something up on
Yeah,
your
it's
phone.
like almost like compared to what we were doing back in the '80s and the early '90s. The technology today is like literally like Star Trek difference between like
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Sure.
what was going on.
Telephones.
Sure.
We had modems that you took the receiver off the phone and put it right. on
And
top
that
of
was the
crane.
modem right
Yeah,
off the
remember
phone
when-
line.
Remember when
300
cell phones
baud.
first
Yeah.
came out and you had to carry around this block with a battery and
you
stuff
look,
like
you
that?
look like you were.
I bought one from Radio Shack. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And like I made like 3 calls on it. I got a bill for $785.
Yes. Back in the day when the telephone companies charged you for distance and time.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow! I have to say that back in the early mid '90s, I had a customer who was doing psychic lines, and they
Yeah.
were very
The
profitable.
900 lines.
Very
yeah.
profitable. Did very well. Surprisingly, everybody wanted a complete stranger to tell them their psychic, future.
Psychic
Yeah.
friends. Yeah,
Yeah, psychic
yeah,
friends.
yeah, celebrities like Dionne
Yes,
Warwick.
Dionne Warwick.
Walking that
Thank
at
you.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. We called it as a prank one day, and we charged a $200 bill. And we got in trouble.
Yeah.
But yes, that's
No,
kind
the
of where
best way
it
to
went.
do this is to steal someone's credit card. Did I say that?
But look at it, right? So we had keyboards, we had mice, and that changed over time. You had
Yeah.
trackballs,
Trackballs.
all these different input
Yeah.
devices, right? I remember about
You had the cat.
the cat,
Remember the cat. Scan barcodes.
scan
Yeah,
barcodes,
they made it
Yes.
look like a cat instead
Yep.
of the mouse. you know.
Yep.
That
yep,
didn't last
I
very long
remember
either.
that. That's-
and then they had all this MIDI stuff and all these different ways you can make.
We still use
multimedia,
MIDI.
Still use MIDI.
Yeah.
But
and
think
all
about
these
how-
different
I
keyboards.
just
about
bought a
how
MIDI
long-
cable today. It's sitting out in my car. I got it in
Nice.
Amazon
Well, I
today.
wish it was a microphone cable instead.
But think, certain technologies take a long time to get off the ground. USB,
USB.
Yeah.
Windows 98 had USB support.
Yeah.
Right? At the same time, they released 95C with USB support.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody I knew was using USB for several years.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you would get a scanner or an artist.
Right, or maybe a printer or something like
Right.
that.
So as I was doing all that, learning all these keyboards, got this keyboard, the ergonomic keyboard, and then I saw this movie with Matthew Broderick where these monkeys were able to fly spaceships, right? I'm not spaceships, airplanes.
Oh, I
What was the
remember
name of that
I
movie
forgot the name of that
in the
movie.
'90s? Yes, Project
I
X.
do remember it.
And I was like, wow, these guys know how to use a keyboard? No, I think they actually were using brain implants in that movie from the 90s to control, act like a mouse and a keyboard, right?
Yeah, and I think we also should introduce Scott the engineer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean,
Yes,
I hate to steal that
apologize.
away from Stern and
Yes,
everything.
yes.
But we actually have a guy named Scott. He is an engineer, so
Yes.
he's Scott the engineer.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Scott.
and
I
thank
hope they
you.
didn't that we don't get in trouble for using that.
No, but this is why it's good to have this co-host because
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah.
Scott the engineer, one of the most important people on the show. Say hi, just scream over, say hi.
Hi.
He's also the bass player of the Queensryche tribute Empire and
Yes.
the hard rock cover band 100 Proof.
Yes.
He's like my favorite Long Island bass player.
Yes,
you know,
agreed.
out of,
Other than
like
yourself?
I am not my own favorite bass player. I am a guy that I know how to pedal eighth notes. That guy actually knows how to play bass.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's actually a bass player. I just go boom, 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 boom. This guy actually plays the guitar and is actually a musician.
And thankfully helping us with the show, making sure the mic levels are correct, which
Yes.
is something I'm constantly screwing up. So we're looking to produce a decent show.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun, but we're looking to do something fun.
And bring our friends.
And bring
into-
our friends,
into
exactly,
helping, helping
exactly.
along with us.
So let's talk about this link situation of how you interface with, right? You've used a keyboard, use a standard keyboard,
Well, it's standard in.
standard in.
Standard in is either it's whatever device you're inputting into the.
So wait a minute, these Neuralink things, they're actually sending keyboard codes, like ASCII codes?
Well, yeah, that's what they're saying. So they're
Is
saying
it that simple, really?
They're saying that, like in that movie Project X,
Mhm.
like a keyboard and mouse,
Mm.
you put these implants into your brain, and you'll control a keyboard and a mouse.
Wait a second, but what I want to know is what about Okay, that's the outbound. Right?
Yes.
What about the inbound? Can I actually learn Kung Fu just by downloading it?
I think that's where they're going for.
That's you know where I'm going.
I know where you're going
Yes,
with this.
yes. I think that what they're saying with that, though, the muscle memory has to be learned at the same time. So you're getting the feeds in your brain, but you got to get your body to do the same thing. You know.
I heard that it was a really great tool for, and this is Ed putting his Jack Daniels and apple cider.
No. It's just my regular. It's just tea. I'm a tea guy.
He's trying to hide the fact that he's drinking
I'm a
on
tea-
camera.
I'm a tea
I got
guy.
water over here.
I'm a tea guy, but yes,
Okay.
yes, okay.
No, so what I read was there's a really great article, and we did it last week
Yes.
when we were talking about our tech news last week, the greatest tech inventions of last year.
Yes.
Right? One of them was this company making like Neuralink type devices to help people that have lost a limb
Yes,
learn
I was
how to
actually gonna
use
say that myself.
a new prosthetic device.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
So a new prosthetic arm. And they say that the learning time is like so much quicker
Significantly
than
better.
it used to be.
Right, 'cause
Because
rehab
direct
takes
link-
years.
Right.
Yeah.
Rehab takes
You're
years.
retraining. Yeah. I imagine that you're retraining your body, to compensate for the changes.
Exactly, because
This-
the weight's different.
right.
Right,
Absolutely.
right.
You know, the way your body shifts,
Yeah,
totally.
you think about it. If you got like some kind of robotic arm, right? What's to say that like picking up a glass is so easy? You might be putting too much pressure and break the glass, or not enough pressure and drop it.
Yes.
Like and I guess that takes a lot of practice to get right. I mean, something we take for granted.
Right.
Someone's got to relearn how to do. I mean, like
Agreed.
anyone that's like lost an arm or a leg, are amazing military and
Sure.
the people who fight for our freedom every day. It's what a battle. I mean, like, can you imagine
You lose a leg
losing
or a
part of your
limb,
body?
and now you can get this implant that can make you regenerate and live even more of a normal life. And look at Stephen Hawkins, right? Remember, he had the little stick in his mouth,
Yep.
but then he got implants and he was
Yes.
able to communicate through them.
Right.
So
Yes.
look at an incredible feat for that genius.
It's amazing that what Stephen Hawking was really using in the beginning
Mhm.
was an old IBM dictation phone, like a phone dictation machine.
Mhm.
Like he would speak and it would put words on the screen.
Mhm. Yes.
And the voice that you heard was from this old IBM dictation machine.
Wow,
when
got
it
it.
would read it back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's amazing how much, like, just in a few years, the technology just went from here to there.
Right, grew
It's
exponentially.
amazing.
I mean, look
I'm
at
wondering
it.
what's going to happen in the next 10 or 20
Yeah.
years.
So I went from the regular keyboard to the Ergo keyboard. I've even learned partially how to use a Braille keyboard, which is 6 keys and a combination. So the input
You got
and how
way
you
more patience than me, man.
listen, I had to do it. I think it's important. It's an incredible
25
science.
years in this
actually.
industry, I'm still hutting and packing.
Really? No, I
I
can type
actually
fast.
started
man.
learning how to type a little bit.
I can type
but
fast.
I can type and not look at the keyboard. That's
Right,
my
yes.
And I still look on the screen and I'm like backspace, backspace, backspace. You know?
But those people who have medical issues and
Absolutely.
and need to rehabilitate quickly, that could be a fantastic way
I
to
think
do
my
it.
only medical issue is that I have zero patience.
So let's jump right in here. I'm fascinated by this next segment that we're going to jump into. Let me pull it up here on the screen for all of us. I'm fascinated by the Neuralink at Neuralink.com. It's an implantable brain-machine interface.
Okay, so explain to me what the basic idea behind Neuralink really is. Like you're going to put something in your brain, but what is it supposed to do? Let's explain that to the audience.
As they describe on this website, understanding the brain, interfacing with the brain, engineering with the brain, a way to overcome brain functions that are no longer functioning,
Okay.
and it's being replaced with computer technology, or an enhancement to how you compute in your brain using a
Enhancement. See,
computer.
that's where I start to worry a little bit.
and
Exactly.
and enhancement. Well, and of course, general input of computer stuff like a mouse or keyboard. You're now doing it literally with your brain.
It's that to me is a little scary.
And that's actually going to probably segue into our next topic after about Wi-Fi security. Now, you have something planted in your brain.
Could it be hacked?
It could be hacked.
Anything could be hacked.
Anything could be hacked.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You know, I love what Samuel L. Jackson said in the Kingsman movies. He's holding up a pencil and a pad, and he goes, "This can't be hacked." Yes, it can. If I get a hold of that document, I can hack it. I can make it look like you wrote something you didn't mean to say. Anything can be hacked.
Yes.
Anything.
So we're looking at a science that sounds really exciting, but what happens if it gets into the wrong hands?
There's all
Where do you
sorts
go
of
now?
implications there. That's
But-
like saying what a great idea it is to do cloning,
Right.
right? But what happens when you try to make a superhuman being,
Mhm.
someone take away the bad things and put the good things in there, and you get Brian. No,
There you go.
So let's stop there for a second. Let's take a look at this, folks. Right. So take a look at this. Is the link. So we these folks at Neuralink have designed the first neural implant that will let you control the computer or mobile device anywhere you go. Micron scale threads are inserted into areas of the brain that control movement, each thread to a certain electrode.
Okay.
So if you take a look at that graphic, it's on the top of the head. Now, I will say that this chip you're seeing right here, size of a quarter. Take a look. There it is in the gloves.
That's it.
And that is surgically implanted and interfacing with the Neuralink app.
Through
Right into
Bluetooth.
the top of the scalp.
Through Bluetooth.
Right into the top of the scalp through Bluetooth. This chip, this device,
So what happens if somebody pads my brain with something I don't want to?
is the Neuralink, and it gets inserted right here. Now they cut the skull, they cut the bone, they put it in, and they put the skin flap over it.
It's
Scott and I
it's
spoke
similar-
about-
I got to say this. I have to make sure.
Yes.
Elon, if you're listening, $10 million. That's my price. Okay? We don't even, I mean, all you have to do is just deposit the money. We don't even need some words on paper. $10 million, we're done. Okay?
No, hold on.
No problem.
Hold on. I'm okay. I've been looking at this
He'll do it for free,
weeks
I
and
won't.
months. I think I'm going to sign up to have this put in.
I'd rather sign up for the one-way ticket to Mars.
Now hold on. Now, you guys got to imagine that we here at CyberMasters have done a little research on this. Now, if you have an insurance policy, okay, that's gone past 2 or 3 years,
Does your life insurance
and
cover
this doesn't work, they'll pay you out.
You got to make sure of that because
If I found out
if
it's
I was-
okay.
There's got to be the
If I
They'll
was-
pay you
somewhere.
out. They'll
If I was
pay
the
you
adjuster at
out.
the insurance company, I think I'd be like, "Oh, you got that Neuralink thing? Sorry, it says right here under paragraph 14, subparagraph A, you can't get paid off if you have some kind of thing implanted into your brain."
Well, honestly, when you think about it, and looking at the website,
Yes.
and how is this that much different than a cochlear implant?
Precisely, and we're going to now. Perfect
Cochlear-
segue, Brian. Thank
Yeah,
you, by
right.
the way.
Cochlear implant.
That was
isn't-
totally impromptu. It was the
it
first thing I
it's in
thought
your
of.
Ear as a hearing aid. It's not rewiring or sending pulses of electronic pulses into your cranium.
Yes, it is.
Let's
It's
take a
actually-
look. The top 8 Neuralink competitors who are trying to eat Elon Musk's lunch. And yes, sir, in my opinion, that's exactly what they are. I would say a primary competitor, right? Brain Co. If you're seeing
BrainCo.
that.
That's a great name.
Now
Hey,
these,
where'd they come up with that?
founded in 2015, BrainCo is a U.S.-based company that was incubated in the Harvard Innovations Lab. Look at that. A
Tells me
brain-machine
everything I need to know
interface
about them.
called the BMI, right? We've learned about this word called BMI.
Body mass index.
No, brain-machine interface.
Gotcha. Okay.
BMI 2022.
See, I only
okay?
said that so he would say that, and so you okay.
As
just
as
just
IT
keeping everybody
people,
into the conversation.
we are used to acronyms meaning 1,000 different things.
Exactly.
What did our friend Danny say about acronyms? Every time I learn a new one, I lose a childhood memory.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
when one drops off the edge of the table.
So take a look at that BrainCo. The product, the wireless EEG headband, as opposed to an implant into the skull, right?
so you look like a
can
60s
detect
hippie.
brain activity and can also measure different brain states. For instance, depth of focus, relaxation, meditation. I don't know if I want to get an
Insert
implant
Tommy
for.
Chong saying, "Far out, man."
I don't know if meditation is the best reason to get a brain implant, but I guess who knows? I mean, wackier things have happened, right?
What's the copay?
So, second competitor, Emotiv, is another U.S.-based bioinformation company. Works with understanding the human brain using electro something graphy. Can you say that word?
Electro
That's a
what?
tough
I
one.
can't even see that word.
EEGs. I don't know.
I don't have a
I've never
telescope. I
even
can't see that.
EEG. Can you say what
EEG
EEGs?
is
Electro neuroencephalography.
Say that 3 times fast.
Yes, so that's why we
I
have
don't wanna say it
awesome
once.
guests on the show, which will be able to interpret some of these words. So either way, it's an EEG. Company currently manufactures 3 wearable neuro headsets, which are intuitive as well as cost-effective, so it doesn't require too much implants there. Again, they're trying to compete with this, with the Elon Musk's implant. Colonel, another U.S.-based company. Why are these U.S.-based company, not China company? What's going on here?
Well, let's face it. No one's going to trust a China company. I bet you China's like backing some of these U.S. companies.
I'm sure.
Interesting.
Sure
You know, I'm
investment.
sure if you do like some kind of forensics financial lookup on these guys, you know, we need McGee from NCIS to do some computer stuff.
Interesting. Colonel, U.S.-based company, works in developing a non-invasive body-mind machine interface, an MBMI, that's the terminology they're using, to radically improve and expand human cognition. According to its reports, the motive of Brian Johnson, CEO of Colonel, is to build neuroprosthesis, a device that will improve a person's learning, all of that kind of stuff. Again, there's nodes going to be implanted into the head. You may have an implant, a headband. They come in different flavors and sizes. We'll pull a
Here's
few
what
of
I'm
them up.
scared of. Here's what I'm like absolutely
Yeah,
frightened of.
yeah.
That
Infection?
2 or 3 generations from now,
Hmm.
this is going to be something that that's going to be like a normal thing. And I want to bring something up, and I think this is really important.
Yeah.
There was a Star Trek episode, Next Gen, Picard, Riker, all those guys,
Yeah.
Data, and it was called The Measure of a Man, the
Okay.
episode. And in that episode, Data was told that he had to undergo some kind of thing where they're going to like basically take him apart, and there's a good chance that we'll put you back together again. And so like his status as a living being instead of an android was put on trial, and Picard.
I remember
I
this.
remember
Yes.
You know, was his attorney,
Yes.
his advocate, and
Yes.
Riker had to be the advocate against him, right?
Mm.
And one of the things that Data said was, he says to Picard, he goes, you know, Geordie LaForge's visor that he wears,
Yeah.
he can see better and more information than your eyes can.
Yes.
And so Picard goes, yeah. Then why doesn't every human child get that same implant?
Good point.
You know, and Picard had no answer. He was just like, okay, you're dismissed.
Yeah.
He just like sent him away.
Yeah.
And he thought about that. He was like, you know, he's absolutely right.
Right.
Like, at what point do you sit there and say, okay, you can make this a little bit better. You can make that a little bit better. Look what happened. Like
The improvements can get to an extreme.
and the perfect example of that comes from the same TV show,
Yeah.
The Borg.
So
right?
so hold on a sec. So Brian, please let's talk about yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
And what do you do in the company you work with, if you're open to?
I'm an infrastructure architect. I work mostly on the back end computer systems,
Okay.
mostly on the Linux side, which
Linux,
is a variant of Unix. It's
Sure.
not Unix, but it's a variant of.
That's
Sure,
just-
so you're the Linux
for
specialist.
the regular folks in our audience,
Mhm.
that just basically means he's smarter
Than
than you'll
all
ever
the
be.
Windows guys.
That's not true.
No.
But you're also you work in an entertainment company,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And they have some science fiction shows.
I believe they do.
Yeah.
I want to switch screens.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not a big TV watcher.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of my time actually in the books. I spend a lot of time watching training videos for IT.
Okay.
I
Okay.
spend a lot of time in CBT Nugget
Okay.
or I&E videos.
He
Okay,
also spends,
gotcha.
He also spends a lot of time drinking vodka and going to concerts too.
That-
He's got a life.
That's
But I
true, that's
assume
true, yes.
I assume in your line of
I'm not
business the
a
data
geek all the time.
sizes are extremely large data sizes.
Yes.
Because it's video and whatnot.
But it just goes to show the thing that we always talk about with IT. When we come from the IT world, right?
Yeah.
And you never stop learning. There's always
No.
something new coming out. There's always something interesting to wrap your head around. There's always
Correct.
some new change that you've got to now wrap your whole world
Brain
around.
around.
New flavor of OS,
Mhm.
researching the new bug,
Mhm.
Yeah, vulnerabilities.
vulnerabilities.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask you. It sounds like you've been using a computer keyboard and a mouse your whole life into advanced computing. Do you feel that an implant will make you work faster or better?
That remains to be seen. Yeah.
Do you find that senior IT professionals are open to a brain implant?
I would think not.
Why? Because you're aware of the hacking that goes on with the
Yes,
technology
We also
today?
know how much stuff crashes.
Yes, we also, yeah.
But what makes you think, is it possible that the implant technology will be built with security in mind?
Everything's built with security in mind.
Well, okay.
But yet,
okay, interesting.
You're only as good as your last hack.
Interesting. Okay, so it's built with security in mind.
Well, think about it. Okay, your phone.
Yes.
Okay,
Built with security in mind.
we were just discussing, a certain video where they were using tracking data
Mm-hmm.
to
Even
track.
though the phone was off.
Even though the phone was off.
Yeah.
In this, I assume this is going to become a bigger issue.
Right.
Or not.
Or not. It depends on, I'm not looking to get political, but it
Depends on how
I-
things
I-
have been in this
I
country.
don't think the average person understands the tracking of phones and the data that is, recorded and housed.
When you've got an Amazon Alexa or an
Mhm.
Echo Dot
Mhm.
or one of those kind of things in your house, or you've got Siri enabled on your iPhone or
Yes.
some such thing.
Yes.
That thing is listening to every word you say.
Okay.
There's no two ways about it.
But gentlemen, I just got to
Now, they
bring you
say,
back to this.
We're not
Oh,
really
only when you
listening."
say, "Oh, Alexa."
Right.
Well, how does it know
How
you
does it
just say?
know?
How does it know you said
Yeah,
Alexa?
Gentlemen,
So-
these companies have invested billions of dollars just to go Mind Maze, NeuroSky, NeuroPro, Neurobull.
Not for nothing, but
They're all
Coca-Cola
creating-
spent billions of dollars with new Coke.
Mm.
Okay, I can go through the list of companies
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
we can go. We don't even have to go that far
So-
back to 2000s.
Paradromotics
How did
got
Pets.com work out?
They
Or
got
better yet, CNN spent $400 million
$400 million
to come up with CNN Plus and folded within a month.
And then it just fell flat on his face.
guys. I got to be honest with you. I
But
feel
they sold like
implants are
11
coming.
tickets.
Hold on. Whatever they're talking about has got me in the craze. I want the implant. You get it? Like,
And that's-
this is a good conversation.
Yeah,
I
that-
think, look, no matter what you're talking about, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
Yeah,
don't
no
know
problem.
what you're talking
These
about.
are all American
There's going to
companies
be
too.
some people that think, wow, that's a really good idea. You could try like glazed donuts, okay?
Mm.
Hey, that's a really good idea. Somebody else goes, that's really bad for you. Somebody else goes, that is going to give you a heart attack if you eat too many of them. Another person's, everybody's got an opinion about a thing.
Yes,
That's
yes,
your
good
opinion
point.
about that thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I wouldn't let these people near me with a 1,000-foot pole or
Got it.
$10 million, okay? Remember,
What if you
Elon?
can put your own implant in?
I don't
Would you
wanna-
feel better about
I'm
that?
not
Really?
qualified to put my own implant.
Yeah,
I'm not qualified
I
to do brain
wouldn't.
surgery.
No.
on
Well,
my
like
head.
your cousin could come over and
No,
it's real here
no,
and
well,
here
like-
and here.
What's his name?
We're gonna have a party and
We're gonna have a party,
Yeah,
you
we'll
know.
invite everybody over
Hey,
and-
Jimmy's doing the implants
You know,
tonight. You
like
want to
Jim
come over?
Carrey with the drill.
yeah.
Abracadabra.
So let's just talk about Synchron for a moment. I want to pull this
Yeah,
up.
come
So
away with a
so,
15 IQ.
Synchron seems to be currently one of the main competitors, right, with their Brain.io motor neuroprosthesis designed to bypass damaged neural pathways in patients with severe paralysis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that seems quite appropriate here that they're going to do that. Now, if you look at the sketch, doing it a little different. They're going in behind the ear,
Right.
right? You see that?
Yeah.
With a little node that comes up and it's plugged into something power, I assume, you know? So
Look,
that's
if I'm-
quite interesting.
Yeah,
Here.
really,
Here's
Look
where
at
I'll
how
draw
that's
the
How are
coming.
they powering?
And look, he's typing with his
I don't even
brain.
know. I don't even know.
But how are they powering?
Oh, there's a battery, and I hear that currently these batteries last about a month.
So they got to go back in and
So
get
you need to
charged.
So,
plug yourself in.
yeah,
Yeah.
you do.
So
there's the
So next to
node.
my bed, I have my work phone
Mm-hmm.
and I have my personal phone.
Okay, got
Both are being
know,
charged
but-
overnight while I'm sleeping. So basically, I need another outlet next to my bed
Yes.
so I can plug my head in.
Yes,
It
you
doesn't
gotta
really
plug your
sound
brain.
appealing to me.
No, no.
So there's
I mean,
clinical
seriously,
trials.
If I'm on my deathbed, and this is like literally like my last Hail Mary pass before I get stuck in an oven and get turned into dust.
mhm.
But I told my in my will, I told my family that when I die, I want to be cremated and have my ashes spread over Stevie Nicks. So
I'm sure she'll appreciate that.
Yeah, I should be like, who's this guy, Rick?
So no, I'm kidding.
A fan?
I'm kidding about the Stevie Nicks part. But I'm saying if that was like my last Hail Mary pass, like, listen, you're dead in 24 hours unless you do this. Okay, then do it. Okay? In that case, sure, no problem.
Do that time.
So guys, take a look at this. Clinical trials. Synchron is the only company of FDA approved to conduct clinical trials of a permanent implant in your head.
Where are they getting the people to do this? Well, they probably go
here. Where do I sign up? Where's the form?
Really, yeah.
I'm ready.
Drink
Look, they're good to go
Drink some
here.
more of your Kool-Aid.
Look at this. Clinical trials.
You know the lawyers have a field day with all the things with clinical trials. And,
Where else? What show in America?
Wait a second. Okay. How many TV shows have you watched in the middle of the day where the lawyer comes up and says, have you been involved and you may be entitled to compensation because you went with this.
Yeah, did you snort
talcum
asbestos
powder
off a
Johnson & Johnson's talcum powder. They
Yes.
just paid out how many for talcum powder?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you a client of Synchron? I can see the commercial now.
or
Late
brain.com?
night. But take a look. You're learning it on the show. If you want to be in a clinical trial for a brain scan, Synchron is the company. You contact them and you request to be in their clinical
How much are
trials.
they paying? $10 million?
I don't know.
Actually,
it
I trust
varies
Elon
per
a little bit more than I
country.
trust those guys.
But hold on
I
a
don't know
second.
those guys. So.
No, take a look. This is just a
But
small.
Elon, I know.
This little device gets inserted behind the ear, as opposed to a quarter being cut over here and implanted.
Either way,
Wait
you're
a
still
minute.
being carved up like a turkey.
You're still
Wait a minute,
okay.
wait a minute.
Okay,
The
still
thing behind
turkey.
the ear, I thought we went crazy for the last
don't have hair.
20 years.
You're gonna see it.
Trying to get rid of the little thing behind the ear for people who are
Oh
hard of
yes,
hearing.
yes.
So now we're going to put one there to interface with my computer. Listen, I'll type, thank you. You know, when a computer can do what
Honestly,
it can do,
how lazy can we be? Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, we grew up when we had to get up and change the channel.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
Now you want to,
They
think
didn't-
about it.
They didn't have microwaves when I was a kid.
Yes.
You wanted to warm something up. You were lucky to have a toaster oven.
Yes,
Most
yeah.
likely you had to turn on the big oven.
Oh, we did a lot of toast.
Toast in the big oven.
We were, toast cuisine was, we put everything. We still do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so there's a likelihood there'll be a lot of casualties with these experiments.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't insert a computer into people before. Now you're inserting this
I hate
into.
to I hate to bring this up.
Yes.
Okay, and it's going to sound like I'm being political here.
Okay,
I'm
yes.
not. Okay, but this whole COVID vaccine thing, we got to say something. They're sitting about talking about putting electrodes in your brain. Okay, we just had this whole thing where we had this this COVID vaccine being pushed on everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
So
were the clinical trial.
We
we
were.
were okay. Now I got to just tell everybody,
Good
and I
point,
got to
good
share
point.
this with the audience. I'm sharing it with you guys. You guys know you're my friends, okay? But that Pfizer vaccine nearly killed me.
I
mean,
remember this.
I ended up going to the hospital twice. I got a DVT, a blood clot in my left leg that literally went from my groin down to my ankle.
I recall
And
this.
the doctor calls me up at the radiology place that did the sonogram
Yeah,
and
yeah.
said, you better get yourself to a hospital now. I don't care where you're going, just tell me where you're going to be. And I was like, what? And he was like, you have a blood clot in your leg that if a piece of that breaks off, you're
You got a
dead.
stroke or.
And that was possibly
embolism,
one of the side effects of any of the medication. That's a good point.
Okay. Now I had one doctor. The first time I went to Mather, right? The doctor there said, "Yep, we've seen that the Pfizer vaccine has definitely caused a few blood clots."
You're not allowed to say that.
But they're
No,
not
no,
allowed
no,
to
but
say
that's-
that. You're allowed
that's
to
what
say
the
that.
doctor
Correct.
said
You're not allowed
to
to
me.
say that.
Correct.
That,
Correct.
the doctor was sitting there being completely honest, and he said to me, "Yes, we've seen it,
Yes.
and we treat it. Here's how we treat it. We're going to give you some Eliquis." And I was like, "Wow, Eliquis, that's great." Turned out my Oscar Healthcare didn't cover that, and it was $600 a
Wow.
month.
Jeez.
Okay, wait a minute, it gets better. The
Jeez.
second time I went to the hospital, because 4 days later, I'm still not getting any better.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm getting worse.
Yeah.
So I go to Stony Brook Hospital this
Okay.
and I said to this doctor, I told him the whole story, and you know what he goes? He says, "There's no way the Pfizer vaccine did that to you." I said, "Hold on." I said, "I've never spent a day in the hospital in my life.
Yes.
I've never been sick more than like a day and a half with like the worst thing I've ever gotten was a little touch of bronchitis.
Yes, I agree. So the way the doctors were interacting with the people, and you're seeing it now. It can't be from this. It can't be for this.
What do you mean?
You can
it
get a
can't
brain
be?
implant,
What
and
do you
now
mean
you're
it can't
having
be?
seizures,
Well-
and they'll say, "Oh, well, it can't be from this."
How could you possibly know what the short and long-term effects of something is that you just invented a few months ago and are getting into people?
Well,
sticking into
unlike
people's arms?
unlike those trials, Synchron lets you do clinical trials. So it'll be 3 years before it comes out there. It'll be different, you know.
Look, at the end of the day, I didn't die. Okay, I spent some money on some Eliquis.
I
Yes.
happen to know somebody who lost a leg because of a blood clot.
Okay,
Wow.
so
Wow.
that did happen to somebody else.
And I know plenty of people who have gotten COVID 3 to 4 times after being
Well,
shot
is
up 3 or 4 times. They've also
but
had
they're
it.
okay.
are blood clots
Yes.
common?
But I also know some people that have died from COVID.
Absolutely.
Are blood clots common for cochlear implants? By the way, is that something that
I don't know.
happens?
But I'm saying
I
is,
wonder what the effects are.
What?
You know?
I'm sure there's a list of possible side effects with
Yeah.
anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm having water with ice.
Yeah.
There's a list of possible side effects.
Yeah.
There are other
exactly.
implants too. Look at pacemaker.
Pacemakers.
Right?
Pacemakers.
Sure.
And
This is-
pacemakers been hacked. We had shows
Yes.
about pacemakers
Absolutely.
being hacked in by
Yep.
the millions.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh my God! So pacemakers inserted. They're hacking those. Of
Right.
course, this is. But again, I have to pray that this technology will be built with more security in mind.
I am sure.
I'm praying for 6+ a supplemental. You can pray
I
for
am
that.
sure that there are hackers out there that are so good at walking right through any kind of security that once they get a hold of like what the operating system is, and 'cause
Yes.
it's gonna, like it's a computer, it's going to have an
They'll take it
operating
apart.
system, it's going to have memory, it's going to have some static RAM, some,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
Hard drive
Got a
space maybe.
communication device. You said Bluetooth.
Right,
Exactly,
It's got to
exactly.
talk out.
So
side of your
there's
body.
there's your.
It's got to
you know,
interface with
your
the
path
computer.
to the.
Exactly.
Somewhere along the way, there's a way to hack that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what happens if they turn you into a murderer, or so like to tell you to go rob a bank?
Oh
and,
my
And
gosh!
put a post-hypnotic like suggestion in
Yes.
your
Now,
head.
now
Yes.
you're turning this into an episode of The Blacklist.
Well, you know
Oh,
what
yes,
I am turning
or
into
the way-
a $10 million idea for a movie. Okay, anybody? Anybody?
Nice. Yes, it is CyberMasters after all. Let's get back to the subject because this hacking is getting kind of
Some
crazy.
days you just need $10 million.
you're all
So-
you're all over the 10 million.
So imagine, right? You get this implant, you're in your house, and you have unsecured Wi-Fi. So now that makes things all worse, right?
Okay.
So I just want to switch the subject a little bit
Yeah,
to
let's talk about
to a little security in your house. Now, whether you're using keyboards, iPads, Androids, I have noticed, at least in my neighborhood, most of the Wi-Fi is like wide open. People are just getting the cable modems, slapping it on. Husbands, wives, kids just jumping online with absolutely no security.
Okay.
Now imagine I now have a brain implant and a pacemaker,
Yeah.
and I have no security in the house.
Well,
Now
oh,
people think they have to secure their businesses, but you're working in your home half the time.
First of all,
It's gotta be
most
the same
businesses
security.
aren't secured either.
Mm.
Okay, most businesses are not secured because
Mm-hmm.
most businesses can't afford a full-time IT person.
Right.
Okay. Now, the companies that, let's say, United Network Associates supports, those companies are well protected
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because you've got a great crew that
Thank
makes
you.
sure that a lot of boxes are checked.
Yes.
Okay? But let's talk about some of those boxes when it comes to like the home network.
Right,
okay?
so you'll hire a guy for your business for several $1,000s to do very specific lockdown routines, but now you're doing it at the home. You're not
Okay,
going
now
to spend that at the home.
What if
so
you
what are
can't
gonna do?
afford to do that? What if you can't afford the $125, $225 an hour that an IT
Well,
person-
most people go to the cable company and say, "Give me your router,"
Right.
and
right.
then that's the beginning of the
break.
breakdown. Or and it comes with McAfee.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, listen, McAfee's not the worst. It's not the best. I could tell you some good things about it. I could tell you some bad things.
Absolutely.
About it. We use it at my company, much to my horror. But it's
Well, it's one layer of many.
it's one layer of many.
Right.
Exactly. Thank you for taking the words right out of my mouth. It's actually one layer of many. But let's talk about like the day you set up your Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
Every single Linksys router, every single Netgear router, anything that you buy from Best Buy or Home Depot or wherever the heck you got your router from, has got a default password. That technically you can only get into the router with that password from the inside of your network.
Exactly.
Now we got to explain what a router is. A router is a device that connects two networks together.
So let's follow the CNET because that's right in there. Let's follow
CNET.
this so everybody can see this. How to beef up your smart home security in 5 easy steps.
Okay,
How
let's
you're
say
going
step
to
number one.
Step number 1, and everyone can follow this. of course, is going to be use a VPN to your router or secure your Wi-Fi network and connect devices with strong passwords. Right off the bat, the router comes with a generic password.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, it used to be admin.
Yeah.
I believe
Admin.
admin.
Admin is the username, admin's the password, or admin's the username and password's the password.
So people went to the computer store, bought this device, plugged it in, and guess what? It worked right out of the box, guys.
It did.
Magic.
It did.
Magic, right?
Magic.
They were like, I'm an IT guy. I plugged it in, and it worked.
Yeah.
What was wrong with the password admin on your router for your cable modem?
Well, here's what's not wrong with it, okay? Someone coming in from your public IP address. Now, remember, let's step back for a second. What a router is a device that connects two networks together, right? So on most routers have two ports, outside and inside. Your inside port is your 192.168 network.
Mm-hmm.
When you do an IP config on your computer and you say, what's my IP address? And it says 192.168. That's usually the range of addresses that you're going to get on your inside network. That address is not an address that's valid on the wild internet.
Mm-hmm.
So
Or as this geek say, it's not routable to
Right.
it's not routable. Like the first router on the internet that sees a packet coming from
drop it.
192.168.anything will drop that packet because it's invalid. Okay, so it's good for creating private networks. Like that's why my network in my house is 192.168, and my next door neighbor could be the same exact addresses.
Right.
But on the outside port's got a public address. Okay, so when I go to Google.com, Google sees me coming from that outside address. So it's almost like I'm pretending to be coming from that outside address. It's called network address translation. Not to get too geeky about this, but the good thing about that password is that if you're coming in from the outside, that password won't work. You can't get access from it. It's a special thing on all routers. You have to turn on outside admin access. Like if Linksys was supporting your router and they needed to get in from the outside, they might ask for that. You might also just do like a WebEx session with them, and they'll get to your router from the inside because they're accessing your PC from the inside. So
I guess it's important to understand that when you buy a cable modem, they provide you an IP address.
That's correct.
And it translates to another set of IP addresses behind the router in your home.
So that's why you can connect 19 different things, 20 different things. You can
to
connect
one
your refrigerator
to one internet
one
cable
router.
modem.
And when they go out to the internet, they're all looking like they're coming from that same IP address.
Yes.
That's the network address translation. Okay.
So how complicated do you need to go with this password for your router?
Well,
that's a pretty important device in your home.
Well, first of all, the default password is usually password, and you should change that to something
Not
a little harder to guess.
Yes, and don't put it in a sticker and stick it on the router.
My personal suggestion is securepassword.net, I think it's
okay.
called.
Yes.
Or passwordgenerator.net. That's
Okay.
it.
Random password.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a bunch of different sites. It'll generate a password for you, and you can then copy that and save that to a file on your computer, or better yet, get something like 1Password and save it into your personal vault. This is a secure vault that only you can get into with all your passwords.
So I got to be honest with you. Password management seems to defy many individuals.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that in this show. A password manager is a program. You keep all your passwords in one place, and you need one password to access it.
That's right.
Most professionals are working in that manner today.
And in the bigger part of that is that you could have different, very complicated passwords for every single thing you get into, and you don't have to memorize them. Because you could go into your 1Password app, hit the copy button on all the dots where the password is,
Copy it.
and paste, and that's it.
Or reveal.
Or reveal, and you can type it. That's right.
So really the advice for
That's
us
a good one,
is
Scott.
definitely to concentrate on complicated passwords, starting with the router at home, and secondly, adding a password manager to track all your passwords.
Exactly.
Because you're going to change them once a year.
Exactly. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to put all your passwords into like a notepad file. It's just not. And
Because
like
the
some
hackers
people,
will take it when they hack you.
yeah, some people may laugh, but like even if you're using something like BitLocker security, you can say, "Oh, my hard drive, my entire hard drive
Yeah.
is encrypted. Nobody
Yeah.
can." what happens when you send, if I send you an email with a Word document that I made on my computer?
Right.
Now, that Word document's encrypted supposedly by BitLocker.
Yes.
But I send it to you through my Gmail account, and you're able to open it just fine.
No problem.
Not encrypted
It's wide
anymore,
open.
right?
Right.
And hackers can step on that
That's what
transmission
I'm saying.
regularly.
You know, the BitLocker encryption's for one thing. That's if you lose your laptop and someone tries to open that thing up, okay? Even if they pull the hard drive out and they put it into another computer, the BitLocker will keep them from seeing that data. They'll just see a bunch of gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Right.
Once you prompt them for a code.
I'm jumping
Or that,
around
yes.
on these 5 points, but
All right, because it spreads out into a couple of other things
exactly.
too. Yeah.
So enable appropriate privacy settings on your devices and disable features you don't need. Why do you want to disable features you don't need when you set all this up?
Well, okay.
It's just another avenue for
Yes.
a hacker to get.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, you run a business.
Yes.
You have all wall jacks with ports in them. The standard security says that you disable all ports not being used. It's the same concept with
Port level security.
port level security.
Interesting. Okay.
It's just one less avenue. Someone walks into your office, they could be sitting in the the waiting room. and
Yeah.
They
plug in.
just can't plug into an open jack.
Yeah,
that's-
just plug it in, and because we've done that, and Rick said a story where hacker tests are done, where literally a cybersecurity guy will pretend to be a UPS man or a mailman, and if they walk into your office and you just plug in and they're on, that's a problem.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you really want to disable features you don't need,
Right.
programs you're not going to use. It'll save space and make things run faster,
Especially-
and remove security holes.
Especially like in a business, okay? If you're let's say you're running a small business, and when I say a small business, I'm talking about like any company that's got less than 900 people, okay? Because
Right, under 1,000 people.
you might want to like across the board disable USB devices on all your computers.
Right.
Let's face it, your printers you're connecting over the network, right?
Now you can do that in your home too,
You can, but it's
which means that if your kids or anybody else can't just pop in USB and take copies of your
that
data.
you can do in the BIOS and the CMOS setup of the computer. Like when it boots up, you can go into the system settings. You can turn off the USB devices in there. Now, I dare your kid to try to find that because all you have to do is password the BIOS. And so,
But if he knows how to do that, he probably got a computer kid on you.
I was going to say, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a great career.
You got a great
you'll
career if
probably
you can.
You as a
figure that
parent
out.
will probably be well taken care of into your old age
Yeah.
because he'll be or she'll be making lots and lots of money.
Take a look at this next one. Isolate IoT devices on a separate network. I think, to me, separation of networks is a key item. So they're saying IoT devices. So what I've done in my home is my IoT devices, my smart door lock, my cameras and security are all separated into different networks.
That's a
So
very
that way,
smart
if
thing to do.
one gets attacked, the others are not affected, and I can continue to compute, which is the point of segregation.
Layers, right.
Layers, right?
Right.
Can you talk about a little bit
Seg-
of microsegmentation and how that works and how to segment networks?
Well, usually behind the microsegmentation, you have a firewall where you have access. So, say the three of us here have three different networks, and we have a router in between the three different networks, or two routers between the three networks. The firewall will deny what I don't want him to come in to see, and same thing. Or I
And
can
the
go-
firewall software running off of this router.
Exactly.
It's the
But
control
that's a
users.
little complicated for the regular home
For the regular
Joe
home,
to
I understand
get
we're
that
talking to
set
the
up.
home. Right.
But there is a setting in your home router you'll be able to buy, which is a firewall setting.
Yes.
And generally, if you go to your average computer store or Staples,
You're
a
talking about the
router
DMZ?
for $100, $200, there are firewall features inside, and it's to be discovered.
Yes,
They're
yes,
not to
yes.
our sophisticated level, but it's better than nothing, guys.
Yes. Now, you could also buy a separate router.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about that. That's a key thing. When you buy that cable modem, they offer you, do you want our router or your own router? Even for unsophisticated users, we always recommend to get your own router.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you something. As sophisticated of a user I am, I use their router. For two reasons. Number one, if there's a problem, I get them on the phone and they fix it. Okay? Because I'm working all day. I work from at home, and I'm not interested in fixing my own stuff. I'm not interested in being my own tech. I have work to do for my company, and if something goes wrong with my internet, I'm off to Starbucks, and I'm going to call up Optimum and I'm going to be like, guys, fix this crap.
Got it.
Okay? I mean, really, I'm not interested in doing that at home. And you know what? My life got so much easier when I did that.
Very good point. And
I'm
you're
not doing anything that the FBI or the CIA or the NSA are going to be interested in.
Exactly.
I work for a company. All my stuff that I do is secure, SSH and VPNs.
Exactly.
So even still, you wouldn't see it. But even if you did, I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a bad guy. I'm not hacking into TRW or anything like that.
I hope not.
I did that when I was a kid. This is another story
But
for
Rick,
another show.
You just dated yourself with TRW.
You're making a good point here. I just want to say, unlike Rick, I do have my own router, and I'll tell you why. As a business owner, the security levels I need, because I'm an extension of my office, in a different way than you compute. You know, I wanted that router, and that especially high in encryption, because me, my partner, and the other key critical people are part of this one LAN, and we want to keep it as secure as possible. So you can have a CyberMaster who buys the cable modem from them, who doesn't want to deal with it. But if you run an extension in your home and you're running your business out of your home, I do recommend that you get that router and
Depends
connect
too on
directly.
the features, like you said. I was talking about firewalls. Yeah, you can get crazy. You can go out and spend thousands of dollars on a Cisco.
Sure, but in the
or
home
Palo
they'll spend
Alto.
$200-300.
But you,
right?
yeah, in the home you will spend $200 to $300, which will do just as good a job for
that.
devices you have in your house.
Yeah, I mean, look,
But you can get through the nuances. Your average user, I would recommend to get an aftermarket router that an IT guy sets up. You can get somebody in there for 1 to 2 hours, lay out your wires correctly, customize the password.
You want to know what else
You're
you
not
could
talking
do?
about a big
You
deal
can
here.
get the aftermarket router and go router to router
Good
from
point.
your ISP's
Good
supplied
point.
router.
Good point.
Okay? So if worse comes to worse, if one of those routers goes down, you can put the other one in place and do a little reconfiguration.
The ultimate thing is don't just slap in anything and assume it's good.
No.
If you set up your home, I recommend that you spend a little time looking at that. The
Yeah.
hackers know you may have less security at home than in the office. If they're watching you, they're going to go for that.
You know? There's also little things too. I mean, like my girlfriend bought a flat screen TV from Facebook Marketplace, right? And she, or I think her son bought it and then brought it back to the house.
Yeah.
And the girl who owned it before
Yeah.
had a Netflix account that was on it.
Oh, nice.
And it still worked
I love it.
for
I
a
wish.
year and a half.
Ha!
Yeah.
And one day it stopped working. But, when you think about it,
You were on somebody else's
yeah,
Netflix
they
account
were on
for a year
someone
and a
else's
half.
Netflix account for a long time. I'm not saying who it was, okay? So whoever you are, just shush.
So let me shoot this one at
Well,
Brian here.
I bought a vehicle back in November.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to find one in this market.
Nice. What'd you get? What'd you get?
And I was able to figure out who owned the vehicle.
No way.
Well, all I had to do was go into the preset GPS coordinates.
Oh my God!
So
You
I'm
can
like-
see their address. So you bought a
Let's go
used
through- oh my
car
God.
and the
I'm
GPS
like, they live in
location.
Yeah, they live 2 towns over, and
That's
'Cause-
great.
Oh
Nobody
man!
cleared it.
Oh
Right.
wow!
yeah, I bought the vehicle used.
Oh my gosh!
And like I said, scrolling through,
You're giving
You
me a
just
heart
realized
attack.
something.
When I gave my last Infinity, I didn't clear the logs.
Yeah, well, it's out there.
You think they did it when they got the car back?
Who knows?
Oh, my gosh.
Not everybody's a geek that would go look
Right,
at stuff
exactly.
like that.
I didn't think of that.
You know?
All right, let's keep moving on.
Just remember,
Let's keep moving on. We're running.
Geek, the word geek used to be a 4-letter word.
Yes.
Now,
it's a $100,000 word.
it's a
Yes.
6-figure one.
Let's move on here. We have quite a bit more to go here, and I really want to talk about the career killers on Facebook and whatnot.
Yeah.
I just in this last segment, everyone asked me, VPN. Do I need a VPN?
Yes.
Spell VPN.
So VPN, virtual private network.
Good question.
Why do people need a VPN, and what for?
And what is a VPN? First of all, a VPN, virtual private network, is basically a tunnel. Okay, think about the Lincoln Tunnel or the Queens Midtown Tunnel. Data goes through there, and from up there you can't see it. So on the internet, if someone captures some of your data, it looks like gobbledygook. Nobody can make sense out of it because it's encapsulated inside of encryption. That both sides talking have the key, and if you're not part of the two sides talking, you don't have the key. You can't unlock that data.
Is it okay to run the VPN of the router provided from the cable company?
It depends.
On what?
It depends on what you're doing it for.
Right.
You know, it depends on a bunch of different.
There's also
things.
different ways to attach to a VPN.
Okay.
You know,
What's the
some
best
are-
way to
some-
attach to a VPN?
Usually through third-party software.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
you know,
so what
to pay for
VPN
to pay for the connection.
So I have a client who asked me, "Do I need a VPN because I'm going to look at weird stuff on the internet?"
Absolutely.
So especially if they're looking at questionable information, that person should be going through a VPN.
Listen, I don't want to be the person
But
that
anything
helps that guy out.
Anything proprietary.
But we were talking before earlier. We were talking
Yeah.
about cloud.
Yes.
You know, companies putting their data out on the cloud.
Yes.
It's cloud companies say we're encrypted. We're okay. That's great. But you're putting your trust in that company.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. My question always is, who else has access to that data?
But somebody has to.
Right.
Mhm.
They have to back
Well,
it up
where's that data being housed?
Or maybe the data's being
what
backed up
country?
in an
What
encrypted
country is
state.
that data being housed?
So
Yeah, where is
VPN
that?
means
Who else has that encryption key?
so that you mean that this means that nobody, because you're going online encrypted, will be able to monitor any of your activity on your smart devices. Your
Well,
TV
there's
and
still
other things.
metadata out there.
There's still
that is-
metadata,
that's-
but you're better. It's better.
It goes back to I know a few years ago they were trying to put metadata together with I believe it was the NSA,
Okay.
where it's like we can tell that you talked to this person. We don't know what you said to this person.
Yeah, but we know you talk to.
But
an
we know you
abortion
talked to this
clinic.
person so many different
You
times.
talk to your gynecologist, or
Right,
you talk
or-
to your brain surgeon, or you talk
Yeah.
to a cancer
Yeah.
specialist.
Yeah.
So we know something about you, right?
Right, but and the idea of the metadata is, it's like I said, we don't know what you said to them.
Okay.
But
Right.
we can put together a little bit of a puzzle
Guys,
to
let's
figure
face
out
it.
where
Let's
you're
face
going.
it.
So it's
They know what you
post-
said.
They know what you said.
They know
So
what you
so it's
said.
after the fact, though.
After the
People
Patriot
inspect
Act
what was
put into
done.
place, they know what you said.
Mm.
I mean, they say that we don't know what you said.
Right.
We don't know. We don't listen to the conversations. They
Now,
listen.
now I gotta say that
Our
about
drugs
a,
are cheap.
about a year ago, I started using DuckDuckGo, the new browser, and I heard last week that the owner did some business deals, and it's not completely
It's
anonymous
not, no.
anymore. What
No,
the heck was
There
that
was,
about?
there was something a few months ago where
Right.
Until somebody
So
gets an
DuckDuckGo is
offer
the same
for
as
everybody's
Google.
data, and then they sell it.
Oh,
You know, I just use
cashing
Google
in.
because, like I said, I'm not looking
Cashing
for
in.
anything that I'm ashamed of.
Well,
Yeah.
you don't think we're going back to
Looking
the
for
vehicle I
PowerShell
just bought
scripts.
Yeah.
has OnStar on it.
Okay.
Okay, I don't subscribe to OnStar, but they're still tracking the vehicle.
Of course they are.
So you have
They can tell me at any time a code comes up on the on the idiot light comes on. They can tell me the code, tell me what sensor is bad.
Even though you're not subscribing
Right,
to the...
yeah. They're still tracking that vehicle.
Of course.
I can turn around and subscribe tomorrow and get all of my vehicle data. They can
Oh,
tell me how many
that-
miles. They can unlock the car from a
But see,
satellite.
what you gotta say, that's a
Interesting.
good
So that means
thing.
that- but
Because
they're-
number one, you can get the car unlocked under your own control.
Right.
Number two, if it ever gets stolen, God forbid, you can track who's got that car.
Keep the car once you steal
But,
it.
but on the same token,
Yeah,
too.
you know
Yes,
what I
you
mean.
stuff.
But it's the same thing we're talking about with cell phones.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. They know where that vehicle is within 5 feet
Yeah,
at any given time.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, not that you're doing anything nefarious, but
No,
privacy
we were
is
talking about
almost
that
a-
movie,
So let me
that
ask-
movie
so
we
for
were
the- for the-
talking about before.
For the men who are at their home and they're looking at certain shopping sites, they want people to know, or maybe some adult material, should be they surfing using a VPN?
I'm not giving anyone ideas about how to surf for adult material. on
Okay,
this
well,
show.
it's
You
very
really-
common because it's so. But a VPN should be considered if people want to make sure what they're looking for
Well,
is,
look.
is sort of not trackable, even though metadata is there.
Look, I think that people are the number one.
We don't condone adult material.
No, I don't condone anything that's immoral or illegal or
Yes,
stupid or
none
anything
of
like
us.
that. But what I'm saying, look, I don't want anybody looking at my data when I'm going to check my bank balance.
Yes.
Okay.
So for bank balance and financial,
about
a
it.
VPN is a good solution.
Simple HTTPS, which is how most of this stuff works at 2048 bit encryption, is fine. Going over that is military grade.
So tell our guests
It's also much
which
slower.
VPNs, third-party VPNs are good. Is NordVPN
I
something
think
that's good?
NordVPN is great. I mean, for what is it, $19.95 a month?
I
or something?
personally don't use any of the third party. Most of my VPN is internal.
Because you
private
have
company VPN.
you have high-end equipment.
Yes.
So you're already
Yes.
there.
So all of the VPN that I deal with, it goes back to my infrastructure.
Right.
Cisco routers and firewall features have VPN built into.
Yeah.
But at home, you're not using a VPN for
It
anything
depends.
specific. Well, when you come again
Like I
to
said,
work, of course.
Well, lastly, to not belabor the VPN point.
Yeah.
Okay. If you can really put to use the security features of hypertext.
We're running a
transfer
little late,
protocol,
guys. Yes.
HTTP versus HTTPS.
Mhm.
If you look at your browser and it's got the lock, the padlock, and the lock is locked, you know that site that you're talking to, whatever it may be, Facebook or Google or whoever, you know that there's a certain amount of encryption in that conversation,
Yes.
and no third party can see it. Now you want to add a little bit to that, get something like Duo or 1Password that'll do two-factor authentication.
Right.
Additional two-factor.
Which you can set up on Facebook, you can set up on Gmail, you can set
Facebook
up.
is now pushing everybody
Yeah,
to
yeah.
two-factor now.
Now, two-factor authentication is just basically, hey, when you log out of that, and now you come back to log into it, your phone's going to blip at you and say, "Is that really you?" And you say yes, or some such
Right.
thing like that. And when you say yes, it knows that was you. Now, if you're driving down Jericho Turnpike or the Long Island Expressway,
And you get that notification.
and you get that notification, you know it's not you.
Right.
You
Change
hit
all your
no.
passwords.
That just locked all your doors.
Yes, it
The
locks
one
all
thing
the
you know right
doors.
there, somebody has your password, because you
Correct.
wouldn't have got the push if they wouldn't have sent the push if they didn't have.
So
the password.
home users shouldn't worry about complicated VPN, but make sure multi-factor authentication is everywhere and add
Yes.
third-party multi-factor authentication.
How many people do we know
Ah,
personally on Facebook? And we're all on
very
Facebook,
good,
right?
very
How many
good.
people you know when you go to
Very
and look
good.
up your friends list?
Yes.
There's 9 instances of that person.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Why?
Those are because 8
they
of them
got
are
hacked
hackers.
so many times.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Because they use like ABC123 as the password,
yes.
and somebody figured it out. Okay.
But now, I was speaking with an attorney a couple weeks ago who had been hacked several times. I offered my help, but they're still not really ready to go down to the securing their portal method. I will say I've run
would
into a
think
lot of people
his
who are
initials on
just
his
not
CV is
ready.
For-
No, but it's
first
just not
of all,
ready.
if you're an attorney, okay,
And you're getting hacked on Facebook multiple times.
Go ahead.
Stop where you're
ahead.
right now. You're an attorney,
Take it
okay,
away,
and
Brian.
you have client privilege. You have privileged information on your clients.
Yeah. Might be medical stuff.
Okay. It could be
Yeah,
anything.
it could be your
Financial.
financial
Financials,
records.
okay.
Could be a million different things.
You could be defending somebody who's guilty, but that's their job.
That's right.
Okay?
And the fact that
and
Facebook-
you don't have security on your network,
Well, it is on
then
the
you
network.
should be disbarred.
No, hold on a second. Let me be more specific. Security in the network.
I agree with them 100%.
Hold on. No, hold on. You guys are not getting it.
I
The
gotta reword it
security
myself.
on the network is perfect. It's their Facebook account.
No, that wouldn't be
But-
on the Facebook either.
But in my opinion, if your Facebook account is getting hacked multiple times, there's probably a problem back at the office too, or
Most
somewhere
likely.
something's
Most likely.
going on. It's a sign, even though your network may be secure, that somebody's after you, looking at you. They've got some information on you. They fished some of it, and now they're trying to go to the next level.
Right.
You know,
Look,
guys.
if your Facebook account is getting hacked,
Yeah.
I mean, if it happens once, just
Multiple
once,
times.
if it happens just once,
Mhm.
and you go back and you set it up all over again,
Yes.
and do the same thing and get hacked again, guys, it's maybe time for you to stop playing with electronic devices. Just
Yeah,
saying, it's not for everybody. All right? Some
So
of us work hammers, and some of us
I don't
are
want to be
IT people.
sarcastic, but I'm sorry
I
that
was
I
a little
follow.
sarcastic, yeah.
I follow Rick. Some people, I will say,
It's probably best
please
if you
let
don't engage.
someone else use the computer. And no, that's definitely a thing there. Let's move on, because this Facebook conversation is such an important thing, right? So
Yeah.
when I was young, there was no such thing as Facebook. Facebook came out in 2008 or 2006
No,
rather.
it's just your friends.
2008.
You see somebody
Before
up
we
at
had
the stores
MySpace.
and they say, "Hey, I heard you
And
said you were going
MySpace.
to kick my butt."
And I wrote some
That was
really
Facebook.
silly things. I wrote some really silly things. So I didn't realize, but I will say that 2-3 years later, I was being selected to work in government, and I was standing before the legislature. And guess what they did? They pulled up my Facebook posts and questioned me on it.
Sure.
I had no idea I was turning colors at the podium, and the newspaper at the time said some interesting things about me. Notice we have mic problems there. Here, I have mic problems there. I couldn't turn on the mic thing anyway. The point is, though, my Facebook activity had an effect and embarrassed me when I was before them.
Yes.
What's your take on this? You know, I really want to talk about a couple of ways where Facebook or social media in general can really have a bad effect, right? Because Facebook sort of is old now. The new generations may not on it. But TikTok,
a lot of Facebook is, as you say, the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
To sound old.
Yes, yes.
But those that are much younger than we are at this point aren't even on Facebook anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They may have an account, but they don't really use it. Like
That's
you
right.
said, it's TikTok.
Yeah, my son never uses his
Right.
Facebook account.
But keep in mind, and we talked about this earlier, everybody's leaving Facebook. The Oculus 2 requires a Facebook account. And there's a lot of Oculus 2 users out there. So I think it's shifting.
Well, Dave
but
Bricker
certainly,
will never have an Oculus 2.
He will never
That's
have an
all there
Oculus
is to
2.
it.
But I will say that this article, 7 ways you're killing your career on Facebook, not only applies to adults in their 30s and 40s, young people coming out of college.
I'm going to bring up something that we spoke about just the other day.
Yes.
When we were setting up for the show.
Yes.
All right. I used to teach over at Hunter Business School. I had a very, very nice, promising young lady that came in, was one of my students.
Yes.
And she was on her way to being a top shelf IT person.
Okay.
She came in not knowing a thing about computers, like really not knowing a thing. And she was like Scott, when Scott was my student. Like, he never got less than a 90.
Mhm.
Like, there was like, if he got a 90, he got
Perfectionist,
pissed.
really.
You know? And
Really
she was
involved.
the same way.
Yeah.
And she was a really, really sweet kid.
Mm-hmm.
She had a hard life, and there were things that went wrong in her life and everything,
Mhm.
but she was really dead set
Yeah.
on getting her life back together again and making this a career,
Okay.
right? Despite whatever kind of obstacles were in front of her.
Yes.
And she got placed, our placement department over at Hunter, and I can't say our placement, the placement department over at Hunter placed her, because I'm not working there anymore, they placed her into a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
She went for 2 interviews. She all but got the job.
Okay.
Until somebody from there doing the background check found her doing some inappropriate stuff on Facebook, just basically dancing in her underwear, something that we would probably not even find terribly offensive, but it passed a line with their HR department, and she didn't get that job. And to this day, I honestly don't think she's working in IT, because she just got so discouraged after putting in all that work. And I tried to tell her, I said, that's one company. Keep going. Don't let it stop you. I couldn't tell you how much I was doing the cheerleader thing, throwing the pom-poms in the air. Come on, you got to keep going.
Every large company is going to do a background check on
Yes.
you.
So let's take a look at this. Number 1, posting negative status updates while at work.
How about
While at
doing
work.
negative status updates
Now,
anytime?
hold on. Whether you're a friend with your coworker's boss or not, posting status updates while at work is a major no-no and showing you're off task. And yes, your boss knows that you're supposed to be working, and all of a sudden the post comes up about, I love this job is probably not going to be the worst post. But if you start putting political conversation and being distracted at work, it's a sign. You can get fired over that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only that, now you're looking for another job. Those people get like, at 3:30, these people are posting wacky stuff. Your future employee is going to see that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You're posting weird stuff.
Companies have a code of business conduct that you're expected to read and understand.
And adhere to, even when you're not there.
Even when you're not there.
So Brian, what happens? How do you interact with future hires when you look at Facebook and social media? Do you consider it when you hire people? Is it something that you look at? Does this have any meaning to you?
I will look at the person's LinkedIn account.
Well, LinkedIn is very good, right? The
LinkedIn is
business
another,
professional.
yes.
See their
But
job
I
history.
don't pull that's for HR and their You know, it's not for me to sit there and look. Yeah,
Oh,
out of
so you're saying-
curiosity.
Look, I think it's
So
to
hold on,
do
hold-
with the company you're applying
Right,
for.
exactly.
If you're applying for a job at Black Rifle Coffee Company,
Yes.
or if you're applying for Disney, you're going. I hate to get political, guys, but there's going to be two different political kind of
Standards.
Sure.
modes.
Yeah, right.
But you're talking
going on.
about a high-end company in the city,
Mhm.
prominent company, lots of employees, and you're saying it's really HR is going to check the social media.
Absolutely,
Of course.
it's part of the it's part of the onboarding.
So
Yeah.
you may like that candidate, but HR
Well, that's
over there is
separate.
telling you, well, wait a
It's-
minute, look at this
you know,
post.
It's part of the onboarding. Every company has an HR department, and they handle the onboarding process. I'm interviewing you. I care about what you know technically.
Right.
I don't care what you do on the side. That's
But
not
they-
for me. I'm an IT guy.
But they also can't
But now
feel
that
like
candidate-
a radical person that posts 19 pro anything
Sure,
or
right.
anti anything. It doesn't matter what you're pro or what you're anti.
Right.
If you're posting like 20 different things a day and it's all about Trump's the greatest or
whatever,
Trump's the
or
worst
whatever,
or
exactly.
whatever it is you're posting
Yeah.
and you're doing it all the time, they're going to see that and it's going to be on your wall forever.
Right.
And you ever try to go back and try to clean up your Facebook?
It's quite difficult.
It crashes your computer.
It's quite
because
difficult.
it basically loads your entire
So-
wall.
so-
And
so
once,
here's-
once you put something on the internet, consider it always there.
it's always there. Yes.
It's always there.
So you're saying the
In one form or
scary...
the
and
other.
the sad thing about that young girl Ed,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
because she didn't even post it.
Oh,
Her friend
the
posted
friend
it
posted.
and tagged her. You know, I mean, it was so innocent. You know, and it broke my heart. It really did. I was like that, and I told my students so many times, don't post stuff that you don't want your boss to see. Or you
Right.
don't want your mom
So
to see.
let's
or
explain
you
this a
don't-
little further. So let's explain this further, right? I think you're saying a couple of key things here. He may be interviewing you. This gentleman may be interviewing you. It's going to be the HR department who's going to say, "Wait a minute, what's in the way here?"
Well, let's keep
So
something in
could
mind.
you could tell him, "Hey, look, I post wacky stuff. Makes no difference. Somebody else is going to tell him no." You know?
Exactly, and you have to remember something that the common misconception. People think that I'm going to go to HR because HR is going to help me. HR is there to protect the company.
Yes.
It's not there to protect you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that is a very common misconception I've seen over the last 25 years of my career.
Oh boy, ain't that the truth.
So take a
Right.
look at this. Number 2, using the same email address in Facebook or social media as well as your job application.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Have one with your name for your resumes and have one for your own personal stuff. They shouldn't mix together.
What, email addresses?
The email addresses.
I've always said
Because
you
it's
know,
identifiable.
I've always said that like your email address should look as professional as you do when you're in your interview suit.
Slayer is awesome is my personal email address, but I would not put that on my job resume.
Why not?
Well, unless they're Slayer fans, of course.
That's true.
It's like
They may not know the history of Tom Araya and how awesome
not
he
for
is.
anything, but all of this, the last 2 years has gone south since Slayer retired.
Yes,
I
yes.
think there's a direct correlation. Myself.
I saw that post, by the way. As soon as the guy from Slayer passed away, the world fell
I had
apart.
it, yeah.
It was the defining moment. Remember? Was it
where do you
Jeff?
think he went?
So we agree you want to make a unique email address and not connect your business world with your social media because the employer says, "Hey, look up the email address. It's linked to
okay.
all your social media
like,
stuff."
I'm not going to
Bad
say what, I'm not gonna say
idea.
what my email addresses are, but I'm going to say this. I've got 14 email addresses.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I hope
So-
at least one of them has mentioned Slayer. Please.
No, none of them mention Slayer. But one of them is for it's like a Gmail account from my old business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I did construction,
Mhm.
like pre 9/11. Like,
Yes.
Like
Older
way
stuff.
back
Sure,
when,
sure.
right? Go back to the 80s actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still-
Another.
I still
So
have
just
my
hold
AOL
that thought.
account.
I want to get through the
Another
show.
one's
We
my
have
full
a
name. Right?
nice.
Because if you can do your full name and your name, if your name's Joe Smith,
Yes.
it's going to be a little tough to do your
Yeah.
full name,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and people will understand that.
Yes.
But with my last name, kind of easy.
Yes.
Because there's only 12 Nevones in the entire U.S.
So let me ask you something. On my LinkedIn, on my Facebook account, number 3, linking everything to you that you see, right? So if you look at my pages, there's all the different Slayer sites.
Mhm.
There's multiple. Now, I may be a Slayer fan, and I'm a big, huge fan. I know their music. I have their albums. I don't know how employer would technically look at the fact that I love that music. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Tom Araya's favorite band was the Mamas and the Papas, you know? But
I think that's more scary than
so
Slayer.
I've linked everything to my social media account.
Oh, you mean like the Slayer
Yeah.
group and
What are you liking on? What are you
South
liking?
of Heaven and you know,
Right. No,
Rain
that's
and
a
Blood.
great song, but
Yeah.
there's some employers be like, well, wait a minute, you know.
Right.
Our client's a church, you know.
It
Right.
depends on who
So
your
liking
audience is.
everything.
Right.
You're gonna like everything and link everything to you, you
Look,
know.
you know they say a square
People-
peg doesn't fit in a round hole, right?
Yes.
So let's go back to the like you're going out to get a job kind of thing. You may not fit into that company you think is so great that you want to
Culture.
get the job. It may
Culture.
not fit you.
That is
okay?
true. I've turned down plenty of job offers
Right.
because I'm like, I'm not going to fit in there.
Yeah, it's
I've
just
taken
not.
I've taken less money because for a better opportunity that when I've had two offers presented to me because I know I'm going to be bored and
Exactly.
You gotta do what you love.
Exactly. I mean, not for nothing. I
Exactly.
worked for
Good
J.P.
point.
Morgan for like a year on a contract thing, and I hated it. I was just like, I was never so miserable in my life. Taking the train into the city, then another train all the way downtown to the,
I'm sure it was fun at one point.
For the first couple of weeks, it was like all exciting.
Sure.
But man, by the third or fourth week, I'm just like, this is a grind.
Yeah.
And then I got to know, like, I hate to say it, but the whole culture of the company, it was like 4 weeks before I even got a PC on my desk.
So hold on. Let's just stay on target here for a moment.
It just wasn't for me.
Are the likes searchable by the potential employer? Can you see the likes?
Depends on your level of security on your page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's,
I can go and see.
I've seen people- I'm sorry to
Interesting. So
interrupt
based
you,
on
but
security
I've
on the
seen companies
page.
that say, "Give us your Facebook password. We want to go on."
I would
to
never
it."
go work for something like
Yeah.
that.
Some companies do that because
But
their
based on
level
your
of
privacy
security is so high,
level-
they got to
Right.
make sure
I
that their
understand that.
people.
So let's talk about that. Facebook and the other sites, like Instagram, you can share with the public, you could share with your friends, or you could share just with yourself.
Right.
Right.
Default is the whole planet.
Well, default is usually the last thing you shared,
Right.
right? So if
But
your last thing you
default
shared was
privacy
friends,
on
it's gonna be
Facebook
friends.
Right.
is
You do
everyone.
public, you could
is
do-
public.
Mhm.
But be aware of that, because when you post, there'll be a little button. Do you want public, private, or friends? If you're thinking about it, just share with a small group. All this stuff can be searchable. All right, number 4, not locking down in your privacy settings,
Go back
as
to
you
what
were
we just
saying,
said, yes.
exactly what you said. Facebook has privacy settings, and it should be looked at, especially if you're thinking about liking or having interesting conversation.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that? What happens when you
Go ahead.
when you hire someone and they're not locked down? You can see their likes. Would you look at it as an employer?
I would.
Interesting.
Well, and listen,
Can you judge someone by their likes?
Look, it
There's no
depends
laws
on-
against
It depends
that.
on the
no, of
job
course
you're
not.
going
It depends
for.
on the
too.
job you're going for.
If I'm hiring the head of my security, that's one thing.
Right.
If I'm hiring a cashier, there's a completely different
Right.
level that I'm looking at.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it really depends on the position is being filled. I think to
Interesting.
a large
Yeah.
extent.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not one size fits all.
No,
It's,
certainly
Right.
not.
But you can go into Facebook, bless you, my friend.
Bless you.
You can go into
So-
Facebook or any of the social
okay.
media sites and go through
Scott,
the
you're allowed to
security,
sneeze.
the security and privacy settings, and make sure when you're there you add multi-factor authentication. All the social media sites add it.
Yeah, I mean wherever you can, right?
banks and
Number 5, choosing an awful profile picture.
Oh my God!
Now, yes,
I could tell you
I
stories of some of my students.
I could tell you some really wacky profile pictures I've had. Obviously, I've learned from experimenting.
Even if you're locked down, you still see your profile and your cover photo. With
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it good to put a cartoon version or something else as your profile pic, or should it be a good picture of yourself?
I don't know. I think that's personal preference.
Yeah, really.
Mhm.
Um,
But nothing offensive,
you
Yeah,
remember,
I
you
would-
remember Frosty the Snowman?
of course.
Remember the little blonde girl?
Yeah.
My girlfriend usually puts that as her, Facebook icon.
Okay.
Around
That
the holidays.
seems quite bland.
Around the holidays.
Yeah.
And it's so cute because it does look like her.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, so something bland. Be very careful. Again, you're probably
Okay.
savvy enough to discern why the photos you're getting wild on the spring break for juniors. Year isn't great snapshot when you're partying and having a great time. or you're drinking, or
I
you look
think-
inebriated, that's not a good profile picture.
I think, like passed out on a bed with a horse is probably a bad look.
Oh my God!
Like,
I don't even
Not that it's ever happened to him.
want to imagine this. Where'd the horse come in? That's not even.
You never saw Bachelor Party?
Yes, that's true. That's true. I didn't think you were doing that.
it could work out to be a bad look for you.
Yeah.
Look, sitting there like that moment where you just finished doing the beer bong,
Yes.
or the double beer bong, spring break pictures, things like
Yes.
that. Look, you
Those are
hanging
all
out
career
with your
killers.
friends all holding up a drink, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. You're at a celebration. It's with friends and family.
Right.
What do you think? We don't live out here? But I think it's also good to be careful. Look at it from a third party view. Always view yourself from like if you were looking from an
A
employer.
Someone
more
doesn't
objective
know you,
point of view.
and is trying to piece together. It goes back to the metadata.
Yeah,
It's trying to piece together what they're getting when they hire you.
Yes.
By looking
By
at
assembling
your
that
online
stuff,
presence.
Number 6, posting controversial issues. Now, whether you're talking about politics or drinking or whatever, who knows what's controversial? It's become so difficult in the last 2 years.
That bar changes almost on a daily
That
basis.
bar changes daily.
Yeah.
So you
So
could
we're
be
not going to talk about
posting.
anything controversial.
But hold on, you could be posting something one year, and then the next year.
It might
know.
be viewed
Oh,
as
look,
controversial.
I love Will Smith.
That's
Now you don't love Will
They,
Smith.
they've gone back. They've gone back
Slappy.
and canceled people for stuff they put 10 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, the zeitgeist changes. Like I said, almost daily.
Yeah.
So not only that, but before the show, we had a really interesting conversation. Just want to tell you guys, posting controversial issues, in some cases, you can get completely kicked off your platform.
No, it happens all the time.
That's
right?
not
Look at the
worst
former
thing.
president. Look at even Amazon has shown signs of their political stance.
We're talking about them
kicking.
canceling Parler.
They canceled Parler because of their opinion about what they were saying. Controversial issues bumped.
Look, that comes down to like whether or not you subscribe to a certain side of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay, because let's face it, if people are burning books, as long as they're not my books,
Right.
it's okay. Because what do I care? They're not my books.
Right.
But one of these days they're going to come after you and say, okay, your books too. Yeah. And so some people out there think that it's okay to deplatform a former sitting U.S. president. I do not think it's okay.
While he was president.
Well, not
Wasn't
even
even
if he's
for it.
saying something.
While
They
he was
had the
president.
control
Not
to
even
do
if
it.
he's
guys.
saying something that would make me light myself on fire and spontaneously combust.
Doesn't matter.
If I
It's
heard
supposed to be
it
free.
doesn't matter.
We're supposed to
We're
be free.
supposed
Don't be a
to-
champion of free speech and then
Yes.
turn around and what? Yeah. But only for my free speech, not yours.
Right,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Then it's not free speech.
It's not free
And I
speech.
think Elon Musk. I hate to to inject this, but I think Elon Musk, what he's going to be doing with Twitter, is a good thing, because he's the first one to say, "Hey, all my haters, you're still going to be there too. I'm not sending you anywhere." So if it's truly an open platform, and he says that he's bringing back Donald Trump, I mean. And you see, you saw it today on the news. Like everybody from Joy Behar to, the MSNBC to CNN,
Right.
they're all like hyperventilating.
Right.
They can't bring back this hateful man who tells lies. Well, first of all, anybody's a hateful person who tells lies if they're telling some story that you don't agree with.
Right.
Okay, like you may think that the story of Che Rivera is like a great. He was a great freedom fighter. But some people will see him as being a communist, assassin. Okay, it's
It depends.
your perspective.
Yes.
Some people think Jesus Christ was the Savior and the Son of God.
Right.
Some people think he was just a prophet. Some
Correct.
people think he didn't exist at all.
Exactly.
Right.
It's called an opinion, and your opinion doesn't make me cry.
We're supposed to be more advanced beings where we can
Well, no, we
find the middle
I say
ground.
all the time, we have the largest population of in this time period.
Say it.
Yeah.
The
Say
largest
it.
population of college-educated people,
Mm.
and I feel like compared to three generations, my grandparents' generation, we have
Yeah.
the dumbest people walking around.
Yes. It's
Okay.
like, what happened?
Mine
It's
were no,
college-
they're just regurgitating stuff they
Yeah.
were fed.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind.
Let me finish this segment real quick, concentrating on other social media sites. We're talking about Twitter, that happened.
Yeah.
We're talking about Amazon, where Parler was taken down.
Yep.
Facebook, we have found, let's just put it out there, it seems more mature people are on Facebook, maybe the crowd, 40, 50, 60.
Who are you hanging out with?
I would say the younger millennial crowd are on TikTok, Instagram, some of these other sites.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the mistakes I've also made is you're one persona on LinkedIn, but you're a different persona on Facebook. It's time to branch out, but there should be a consistent message across platforms.
Well,
the employees will look at more than just Facebook.
Let's put it this way. I always, it has morphed into something different, but my philosophy when it came to social media, I had a LinkedIn account, and then I had a Facebook account. I didn't friend people I worked with on my Facebook account, but yet LinkedIn was open to anybody I worked with for networking, business networking. But I certainly didn't invite them into my Facebook.
You didn't intermix.
Right. I kept them separate.
What I did is I intermixed it. I was like, if I was friends with you at work and we were Facebook friends, we could be LinkedIn friends.
I like Brian's idea better. I like Brian's idea. Facebook, LinkedIn for business, this for
friends
private.
at work, there's a difference between friends and business acquaintances.
Yes.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
I've old managers on both at this point.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you both a question.
Yes.
And I want an honest answer from both of you. Take your entire Facebook friends list. Let's talk about Facebook for 1 second.
Yes.
Go through your entire Facebook friends list and explain to me exactly where you know this person from.
I know.
I
I went through it the other day after we spoke.
I could probably do a majority of mine.
Really?
I recently went through. I'm going to tell you something.
You were also promoting a band. For
I
a
was
long time.
promoting
correct.
the Rock of Ages at
Yes,
Def
right.
Leppard tribute.
Right,
Okay?
you were using it for other
So
purposes.
I'm
It wasn't
like,
just
oh, you're from Connecticut? I'll friend you.
Right.
You know,
Yes,
sure.
yes, yes.
You probably came to one of our shows. You're from. We did a show in New Hampshire, and I see somebody from New Hampshire friend me. Yeah, you were probably at the show. Okay, but I had to go through. And I had to take away some people that I actually didn't know, and a few people reached back at me and said, "Hey, man, don't cut me off." And I brought those people back because they actually noticed I was missing.
Right.
But
And
you
so
went through a
it's
cleanup.
okay, you
How
know?
many people going through a cleanup like that? I mean, even for me, it was
Well,
an
I
effort.
went from 4,800 people
Oh.
to 880.
Right,
Wow.
big difference.
Let me tell you, that was no small feat. That was a big.
There had to
that was a lot of
be
work.
bad actors in those mixes. There had to be bad actors.
Every single one that I got rid of, I kept on thinking to myself, you know who I'm talking about, guys? That person who used to
Is watching.
yeah.
you.
You mean
It
it
was
was a
like-
surveillance camera?
the
Well, if somebody doesn't like you, is watching you now, they could be one of these friends,
They
and
watch
they're
you
right
more
in
than
there.
the people
Yeah.
who cheer you on.
Exactly.
and so like it was like I
Hate
was
is gonna
like
hate.
goodbye,
Right.
see ya.
Look. Social media has so many dangers. You know what I mean? Let's look at this
It's
for a
just
second.
different avenue.
You know? But I just want to say though, this interesting website db.com here says that 34% of employers say social media sites have helped them decide whether or not to even shortlist the applicants.
Absolutely. I believe
So
that.
before they even consider your resume, they're looking up a line and then just throwing it in the garbage. If you don't even know it happened.
Look, I think
Jeez.
I think it's also where you are in your career too. Right?
Mm.
Let's quantify a couple of like mark points in your career and like from your age and all that stuff. Okay, I'm 59 years old. Okay, I'm at a point in my career where when I get done with my job,
Yeah.
I want to go fishing. I want to go
Yeah,
out
you
to
wanna
dinner
hang
with my
out.
friends and family.
Do non-tech
You know,
stuff.
I'm not sitting there like doing techie stuff
Yeah.
in my downtime.
Yes.
The worst techie stuff that I do during my downtime is I check like my Gmail account.
Right.
Or I do my bill paying
Yes,
and stuff like
yes.
that. And then I'm off to do something else.
Right.
You know, I want human interaction in my downtime. I want my family, my girlfriend, my friends, not necessarily always in that order, but you know what I mean? It's
Because
I know.
You didn't grow up in the social media world.
Correct.
I look at
Correct.
your son's age
Yes.
or younger.
Yeah.
They're on all day long. Now, granted, I there are days I'm sitting there scrolling because I
Me too. You think
and that's
it's-
funny
it's-
because Ty's he's never on that stuff.
right, but
He
you
does
look-
watch YouTube.
Yeah, I see the kids in my neighborhood. They're all day long.
Yeah.
But like we said, before we came in here, we were talking about kids watching videos of other people playing video games.
Right, very popular.
And I'm like, how do you find that fun? But it's entertainment. But our parents said the same thing. Our grandparents said the same thing about us watching, sitting in front of the TV all day.
Okay,
Exactly.
but let me ask you something.
That's true. We sat in front of that too for
Yeah,
hours on end.
You guys,
Greg.
we've all played like the original versions of Quake or Doom
Yes,
or something
yes,
like that.
something like that.
I even go back to
First-person shooter.
Wolfenstein 3D and
Yeah.
Duke Nukem.
Right,
Okay.
those
Now,
first-person
back when you were
shooters.
into that, I want you to put yourself back into
Yes,
that. Okay.
yes.
If you saw a video of someone going through the same game that you just
But I would
like
spend
started-
hours and hours and hours
Trying to get
watching
through,
it.
right?
I would have,
Like Call of Duty?
but I would have watched the video to get through the board I was playing.
But that's what
playing
happens.
the game.
Exactly.
They're not playing the game,
But
but they're
some-
watching videos of somebody else playing the game. I don't. Yeah,
That's true. They don't go back and do
They
it
don't go back and
themselves.
play the game.
But I'm
He's
saying,
right,
like,
he's right.
Like what is that?
like-
Minecraft? It's
Yes.
like.
No,
Okay.
listen. I've
Now,
seen.
granted, you know,
I don't know.
call
My-
me old. Maybe I'm. You know,
I don't know.
My-
I
my
can't
son-
understand Minecraft. I have to
My
say
son
that.
probably just
So a
went to
generation
sleep,
gap happened.
and
And
he
they
was on the
made
iPad tonight watching
billions.
those games, watching other gamers talk.
Yeah.
With a B.
I preferred first person shooters. It was okay, done with work, and I'm gonna sit there.
Get together
and,
with some of your friends
Right.
and shoot rockets at them.
Right. Or what was the other one? What that was? Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Yeah.
So let's just.
You got points for beating a hooker.
Let's jump back on this for a second.
You get your money back.
These are
It's
the
like-
top 10 forms on social media posts you need to look out for to avoid the road to career destruction.
the forms of.
Number
ahead.
one, confidential information and job
You
offers.
never do that.
Yeah.
You never do that.
Yeah.
You never do that. Explain.
Don't post anything on social media that that would be considered confidential.
Mhm.
okay?
Never.
It's sometimes for like if you're not an IT person, sometimes if you're not a geeky type
Right,
of person,
right.
you don't know where that. There's a very thick gray line, and you're not sure where it lands. If you're not sure where it lands, err on the side of caution
Yes.
and don't post
And
it.
if
Yes.
you work for a public company, that
Oh,
could be proprietary data that
Ooh.
could land you in a lawsuit.
Exactly.
Plagiarism.
Yeah.
What do you think about plagiarism on
Never
social media?
copy and paste someone's work and call it your own.
That's so
I
common.
don't even do that with scripts.
You
okay?
have to say, hey, this is like we're pulling up the website and we're going to the reference material. This is not our material, and we're exposing it. You can't steal and plagiarize somebody else's
Can't
stuff.
do that. Unless-
Happens all day long, guys.
you
Oh,
know,
of course it does. It's
the-
too easy. You copy and paste. Back, when the first time I went to college, I went back a few years ago and finished.
Yeah.
But I was typing on my Commodore VIC,
Mm-hmm.
and the Commodore 64 at the time, and you had to open up encyclopedias.
Yeah.
And,
And you just
now
played.
you just copy paste.
So we were plagiarizing. That's how I did the encyclopedia. I was like,
Right, but you had to
word for
write. It wasn't
word.
plagiarizing if you referenced where you got
yes,
the
I
if
don't
you
know,
material.
man.
reference
I
where
had
it
like
came
something
from.
in
Good
my head.
point.
I was always scared
Good
of like
point.
getting caught up doing that. I would read something and I'd then write it down long. I always write down long.
Yes.
Like and change the way it was presented.
Yes,
and
yes.
to, like take these three sentences and say it my
And
own
they didn't
way.
have-
Yes,
they didn't have
yes, make a
Google it-
different
Google,
point,
Google,
exactly.
Google it back then.
You couldn't Google it. You had to go to the encyclopedias.
Today,
you know?
you just pull it. There are programs that tell you.
The whole the details.
plagiarize.
No,
yeah, how
there
to
are
plagiarize.
programs. There are programs that reference.
Yeah.
Well, now I just finished college last year. I had to write papers.
Right.
And you had to run it through a program,
That
and if there was too many similar,
and if it picked up some
Oh, it
words,
picked
So
everything
much
up.
similar
and
stuff.
it told you where it came from.
Oh man.
it's like LexisNexis, you know, on the
Exactly.
legal side
Exactly.
and on the entertainment
Mhm.
Yeah.
side.
As you submit your paper, it went through, and it basically said similarities.
Yeah.
And
So plagiarism's a big deal, guys, right?
Absolutely.
What about untruthful information on qualifications?
that's
There's even presidents
no,
who've
now,
done this
now,
incorrectly.
now.
I hate to say the one that's sitting now in the
I'm
presidency.
just saying it's been done quite
it's
quite commonly.
well untruthful. It used to be you were truth and not truth.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now-
now it's gray.
Now there is so much gray with what people consider truth and what doesn't. Yeah, there's a difference too. We talked about it earlier. You know, your perception of the truth and his perception of the truth could be different from my perception of the truth.
Good
What?
point.
Exactly.
So untruthful information
And
has
also
to be
remember,
really
history
looked
is
at.
written by the winners.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But if you say you were the CEO of a company, it's got to be truthful.
Right.
People
Well,
are saying
yeah.
they graduated certain colleges and maybe
Yeah.
don't have that degree.
Yeah, you know,
I've seen that before.
If you don't
And
have a
that's
transcript,
that's easy to figure. That's easy to.
I've seen people say they have a degree in social media. It was never checked out, and they were
and they
hired.
don't have it, right?
Right. But I've also seen cases where several years later, okay, you go, somebody went for a promotion,
Yeah.
and now because they jumped the tier or getting into
Now they're
management,
gonna get scrutinized more.
they've gotten scrutinized, and after 5 years of working for a company, they got walked out the door.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you
man.
thought you were moving up, and you're
You thought
moving out.
moving
And also, and also the technology changes over the years
all the
too.
time.
Like I said, we have programs. That
So
can-
You know,
Untruthful
when it comes to,
information,
let's
so-
say, college or something like that, I think it's
That's a good point.
If you
Good point,
if you
by
went
the
to
way.
college but didn't finish, let's
Yes.
say you attended the college,
But
you
not-
don't have to say you got a Bachelor of Arts.
Correct.
like I said,
Okay.
there's a central clearinghouse for that.
But hold on, Brian's
But that's
making
okay.
a clear
You
point.
You can pull a transcript of
Yeah.
your
Right.
work that you did
Exactly.
at, let's say, St. John's
Right.
or wherever you went,
Yeah.
right? And it says, well, he did these classes, he earned these credits, and it's still sitting there in a bank, and here you go. So you attended, but you didn't say that you got a degree.
Right.
You just said you attended.
Yes,
Right?
that's truthful.
Then they can come back to you and say, did you graduate?
Right, there's
You
no
said, "Oh,
ending
I
date."
didn't finish.
I didn't finish.
Right.
There's no harm in that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
But the point is, look at how many engineers you and I have seen. Oh, I know this, I know that, I know all these different little pieces.
Tell me all
and
about
meanwhile,
it.
it's from 5 years ago.
What was my favorite?
Meanwhile, it's from
The
5
paper
years
boy.
ago,
paper
guys.
boy,
The
yeah,
paper boy.
That's what
You know?
Brian
That was-
Brian used to have a saying that he would say, like, okay, this guy's like, he's got 3-4 certifications that he's showing on his resume, because we both
The
interviewed
paper
people
boy.
together,
Yes.
you know, and double teamed like someone. Could you imagine being interviewed by me and him at the same time?
Right, but now 10 years ago, this may have been factual
No,
information.
but like, you know, someone comes in, they're a certified CNE, certified Neville administrator,
Yeah, back in the
right?
day, yeah.
An MCSE, Microsoft certified professional,
Engineer, right.
Engineer, right? They got all these things, a CCNA from Cisco, right? And they come in, and Brian will go, like, look at the resume and goes, another paper boy. You know? Oh, so he shows a lot of letters after his name. But okay,
Back-
say, okay, reconfigure, you know, here's
Show me something.
Tell me how to reconfigure an interface on a Cisco router. Just walk me through it. Because he knows how to do it. I know how to do it. We sit there and, you know, like, show me the commands. What do you have to do?
So at that point, what they've shown you became untruthful during the resume.
Well,
the
it's just that,
interview.
like-
They may legitimately have that certification.
That's true.
But they didn't put the work in to get that certification.
Or
I'm not saying they cheated.
good at taking
I'm not
tests.
saying.
But hold on, we
some
call
people are
that-
very good at taking tests.
we call that untruthful. We
Well,
call that untruthful.
If you passed the test,
You passed the tests.
you
Congratulations.
have every right to put those
You
letters
have
at the
every-
top of your
Absolutely.
resume.
But the fact
But
that
they
you
don't
have,
have hardcore,
But you,
like,
have,
like
you have
in the-
nothing to back that up.
look at those resumes.
They
They
don't have
say
what's called
5
real
years
experience.
experience doing this, and it was all in the lab. That's untruthful. You got to say,
No,
I've done it in the lab.
No,
you know?
I
Yeah.
have a lot of respect for someone who goes home every night and will lab for 2 hours a day. I'm someone who does that.
That's true. That's true. And I've
Okay.
talked about it many times.
I have more.
I've talked about it with my students, with people I mentor to.
At this point in my career, when I do interview somebody, I don't sit there, and depending on what level they're looking for. You know, recently I interviewed for an engineer's position. I'm not going to ask them, "Oh, how do you list the files in
Gotcha.
a
Right,
Linux?"
right.
I'm going to talk to them and kind of feel them out. I want to know aptitude and attitude. Those are the two biggest things I care about. Okay,
So
because I can teach anybody who's willing to learn. Okay, whatever you're missing, it can be taught. But do you want to be taught? Do you want to be a clock puncher? Do you want you know?
do you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
be involved?
So when I talk
Yeah,
to
good
somebody,
point,
they're like,
good point.
"Well, I have a lab." Okay, well, tell me about your lab.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not asking you about the job you're doing now.
Yeah.
So the
I wanna know
lab has value.
What do you
More
have in your
value.
lab? What are you working with in your lab? What are you, focused on? And what? Because to me, that shows initiative. Because
You're
how many people
involved.
have a lab at home?
A
Right.
good point. Good
Okay?
point.
Even if it's a laptop running EVE-NG or,
Yeah.
or you know.
So
Or
you're
anything.
hearing it from
I
a
always
senior
say-
network
I
engineer
always say
who
it-
hires people
The only
who
difference
who's
between your home lab and doing it on a big
Yeah.
job is scale.
Right.
So you're doing that 12 users on your home system
I don't want you
or
labbing in my
25,000.
production
No.
environment.
But hold on a second. What you guys are saying is a big deal.
Don't worry about being fired. I'm just going to take you out back.
But somebody who doesn't have the job experience but can show these gentlemen some strong lab self-initiative carries quite a bit of weight.
It does.
It does.
So don't be untruthful. Don't stretch this story, which we're talking about.
Right.
It might be truthful, but it's being stretched. It's going to come out.
Yeah.
Be careful with your qualifications.
Yeah.
there.
And
If
be
you have it
truthful.
on your resume,
Yeah.
just be prepared to back it up.
That's right. That's
Guys,
right.
the next one's my favorite. Posts of alcohol and drug use.
What's wrong with that?
I'm going to get some more water.
The
by the way.
Recruiter
Yeah, no
National Report on Job Vite in 2017 revealed that more than 60%
forgot we had
of
water right
recruiters consider record on use of illegal drugs detrimental to a candidate's hiring potential. So if you look at that party scene
Didn't
right
seem to hurt
now,
Hunter.
not all the time, but certainly, in my opinion, posts of excessive drug use is just not
Well,
professional.
that's
Well, it didn't
Just
hurt
not
Hunter
professional.
Biden, did it?
yeah, that's exactly. Right.
Well, listen,
It-
not
sorry.
getting political, but we don't recommend it.
I
It's
wouldn't
not
hire
good for
just
your
because
job.
that's just you're stupid.
But look at that picture. I mean,
What's
this
wrong?
young lady looks like who knows what's going to happen this evening.
Listen.
It leaves it up to the imagination,
And
but that
that's-
picture tells 1,000
Listen,
stories.
there's one thing like showing a picture of you dancing
Right.
with your friends,
Having a
having a
good
nice time.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
that could have been at a wedding for all we know, right?
Right.
Okay. Then there's a whole other level that it goes
Yes,
to.
yes,
right? And I
yes,
think
and
that's
the
what
next
my-
level
I was
up.
gonna say,
student got
if your
hurt
next
on.
picture is you're freebasing, well, that's going to be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a
Guys, we're
red
going
flag.
into nude photos. So now you're drinking, nude photos. Again,
If-
nude photos of any kind is probably not going to.
Yeah,
Now,
it's-
there's a lot of adult people sending nude photos to each other. What do you think's going to happen if that information ever gets hacked? Because, that photo disappears in 3 seconds after you look at it.
Well, first of all, I think that you should show some real.
Well, the point is that
you-
a lot of adults don't
be careful
realize
who you send photos
their
to.
their kids are sending a lot of nude photos to each other. Nude photos from teens to each other
Sure.
is becoming a very
That's-
popular
yeah, that's
thing,
not
and people aren't aware of this nudity and pictures of their parts back and forth. It's a very
not to mention
cool
the
new thing,
legalities.
you know. Yeah, I've never sent a nude picture of myself to anybody. I'd
believe
scare
the
myself, but
I
yeah,
believe
it's,
the Beth.
I believe at some point those will come out. Be careful. There's a lot of hacking.
I
You think those
when
pictures
you're
disappeared?
Young, you don't realize the ramifications of mistakes like that.
Mm.
That's why I always said to my students.
And then when you're older, you just don't care anymore.
You're like, wow, I looked good back then. I looked pretty good back
You
then.
get older, you get
Like, yeah, man, that's not too
That's
bad.
so true. That's so true. I mean, that's such a touchy subject. Listen, look, some people, some employers might not have a problem with it.
Right.
You know, hey, it's like, it's your own personal life. Do whatever you want to do.
Let's go on. The next one is the biggest issue. I'm going to do a whole show on cyberbullying, saying nasty things and
That's a
threatening other
whole
people.
It's a whole separate show.
Big deal. If you're saying angry things and doing cyberbullying to others,
45 minutes over.
it's going to be a serious problem,
Yeah, we got a
guys.
bonus show going.
Cyberbullying is a big concern. I would say it's maybe even worse than the nude
That's
pictures.
a whole different.
Worse than the
Bullying
nude
of any
pictures.
type is like the worst thing one human being can do.
That's
to
also.
But
I
cyberbullying
also
has
yes, I-
people lost their lives over it. You know what
I
mean?
also think that's another one that's subjective.
Thanks, bud.
Where
Yeah.
Right.
what you might think is bullying is different than what somebody else, and I think we've
It's
gotten to the
also
point where it's
subjective.
yeah.
Interesting.
And what you did to Larry back at Island Mortgage.
But look, guys, the bottom line is
Statute of limitations
cyberbullying is going to be looked at very odd by your employees. You know.
I think you helped him ultimately.
The next one is kind of odd. Employer and company complaints.
That which doesn't kill you.
How many times have you jumped on Google and looked at a review of a company and they're saying terrible things? Oh, hey,
All the time.
we're going to hire Jim, and I'm looking at his Google, and he blasted his last employee with 2 paragraphs of how he hated it there.
Not a good
Employer
idea.
company complaints.
Totally not a good idea.
Totally not a good idea. And that's like comes up in the interview. If you say, why'd you leave your last company? Well, because my boss was a prick. You know, yeah, think about that for a second.
Yes.
Never trash your.
You
No,
should
saying that
never
interview-
trash your previous employer.
So, but do
Even
you?
if you hated the person.
So it's not a good idea to go Glassdoor and spill your guts after you're
it's happened
fired.
to you, and I know it's happened to me, but I've gone back to work for previous employers several years after I've left.
Yeah.
But look at
You know,
Glassdoor. It's
why would
filled.
you burn? Yeah, why would you burn the bridge?
Glassdoor is filled with people complaining about where they worked. Glassdoor is filled with people who are
Of
complaining.
course it is, and you know what? Those are the people.
And
who-
employers are looking at those reviews.
It's
Big
called
deal,
trolls.
guys. Trolls. Oh, no, we'll do a whole show just on that. Job and customer complaints, same type of thing.
Like that week.
Inappropriate and profane remarks will not only have a job thing, but will get you kicked off of Facebook.
Sure.
I recently posted a Hindi version of a curse word and was removed for 30 days. So don't be profane in any language. Spelling and grammar issues, yes, I look at that. If even on social media you're writing stuff and your spelling's all messed up, like did you go to like grammar school? Like,
No, yeah.
what do you, how's bad grammar grab you, man?
Spelling I kind of get because a lot of times you're on the phone and I know I fat finger and stuff and
Okay.
then send and go, I got to go back and edit it now.
Look, we're talking about a text message, though.
I'm talking
We're
about,
talking about posts.
quick
Yes,
posts on Facebook. I'm at a
exactly.
concert, I'm quick, posting a picture.
Okay.
I've done that and, had to go back 2 days later going, really?
Spelling
That makes
errors.
sense.
What was it, really?
Spelling errors stand out like a
Yeah, well, it
grammar.
does.
It stands
No,
out
but
really.
when you go back and look over the course of posts,
Mhm.
over someone's like history,
Mhm.
and you see that like they don't know like basic words like any and the,
Yeah,
and look, I don't know what
yeah,
your standard is.
yeah.
Okay, me, I'm a grammar Nazi. There is there, and there. There are three separate ways to use it. There's three separate meanings, and if you don't know, figure it out because you'd look very unintelligent when you say THERE when you mean TH.
Yes, yes. It
apostrophe
means
RE.
you don't understand basic stuff.
You gotta
Exactly.
you gotta remember like there's a language there for a reason.
Yeah.
You know.
Guys, take a look at this. So
That's what grammar
here's
is for.
an individual, right? This young man here, who was cyberbullied and committed suicide because of his social media activity. Now, their parents have decided they're going to go after the social media people because they're at fault for creating this. Now,
That's
this
like-
is
that's
not
like
the
going
first
after-
case. Here she is in the
That's
football
like
game.
going after the school because the school owns the playground
Right.
where you got beat up behind the school.
C.J. Dawley died by suicide at the age of 17. His parents allege his social media addiction contributed to his death.
Well, as much as I feel terrible for the parents,
And I do too.
and my heart goes out to them.
Absolutely.
Everybody's I
And the
don't know.
poor kid.
Yeah, really.
Those are his parents right there.
Remember the lawyers always go for the deepest pockets.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
And look, they're famous. They got a whole CNN business article over this.
Listen,
Look at this. Is it trying to become famous or?
this is like one
What's
of those
going
things
on
that
here?
I really get
well,
a twist
there's
in
also
my
a
stomach.
difference between in their minds they're trying to raise awareness.
Hmm.
You got
they're
again
back
you look
here,
at it look at it from different perspectives,
But tech companies are. Parents want them to
and
change
that's where
things.
I think Elon's going to have a problem with Twitter.
Ooh, what do you mean?
Well, yeah. I'm sure Twitter is sued if not
Over and
200
over.
times a day.
Hmm.
The lawsuits are crazy, and I'm sure if he opens the platform and you get, it's great to have open forum and open speech.
Hmm.
There is also a fine line where that speech becomes a problem, and I'm a purist when it comes to that, but you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. There's that fine line.
So you're saying that a potential addiction to these programs, where you just constantly got to be in it, along with the way you perceive things, get you into some real bad heat there, right?
It could.
Hmm.
It's like the
That's
pulling
pretty
over.
scary.
You see an accident, you pull over, you try to help someone out of a car, and you end up like they had a broken
Sued
neck, you
because
didn't know,
you made it worse.
and you made it worse,
Yep.
and now the person's a paraplegic, and now they're suing you because you touched
Because you
them.
touched them.
Mm.
But if you didn't touch them, they would have been in the car after it blew up,
Mm.
right? I don't know. These are
We're a very litigious society to begin with, and like as I
Absolutely.
said, the lawyers will always go for the deepest pockets.
That's pretty scary. So they're going after social media, but what will this change? This
don't
may
know.
not have any
I don't know.
effect. It's you got to connect with your family. You got to talk to them. You got to see how badly they're involved and how these posts affect them. You know, it's really concerning. Look what's happening with social media. It's taken over our entire planet. Employers are looking at how you interact to judge if you're part of their culture. And some people get so deeply involved where they're literally hurting themselves because they can't deal with life because of what's going on
But
here.
that's nothing new.
True.
People have been like this since the dawning of time.
True.
It's just a different,
Medium. It's a
Medium.
different medium.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's no different than he watches too much. He sits in front of the TV all day and eats and gets
So how do you talk to your teens? How do you talk
how
to
did
them?
they do it in the past?
Well, how do you talk to them today? It's
I don't have children, so
There's-
I'm not the person to.
how do you talk to any young person in your office, in your life, where you see that they're completely addicted and you have a chance to talk to them for a moment? What would you say to them?
First of all, if it's my own kid, I'm like a little old school. My son knows how I would handle that. I would be hard on him.
The problem
Okay.
is because your father, right? You're his father. He'll listen to him before he'll listen to you.
Well,
It depends on the.
I have a
the
good relationship
yeah.
with my son.
Yeah,
I could talk to my kid, and we have a great relationship where, like, he and I listen to each other.
Mm.
It's not just a one-way conversation. I'm
mhm.
listening to him too,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
because he's a super bright guy, and he's got
Yeah.
a lot to offer, and I've learned a lot from him. Okay.
Yeah.
So, look, my kid's an anomaly. He's actually like a great young man who actually doesn't have those kind of vices.
Sure.
He actually, is quite mature for his age. And I'm not just saying that because I'm his dad.
But how do you talk to those other kids? How do you talk to the kids
When-
who are addicted to social
I'll
media?
tell you how I talk to them in my classroom. I told them, pull your big boy pants up. Stop whining about your situation.
all day long.
You are the only person that can change your situation.
Yes.
Don't sit there and tell me about systemic stupidity.
Some people
Right.
might think you're bullying them now.
No,
That's a good point,
They
man.
have brought that up.
Tell ya.
They have brought that up, and I'll tell you something. Yes, the truth is, I am bullying you a little bit. What I'm telling you is that you are the captain of your own ship. You
Very true.
got the wheel in your hand. Don't cry to me because you keep on hitting the guardrail. Okay? Somewhere along the way, when so many things go wrong in your life, and now for the Tony Robbins section of the show.
Love
when
Tony Robbins.
When so many things go wrong in your life, you've got to sit back from everything and say, what was the common denominator? It was you, okay? And if what you do over and over again doesn't get the results you want, do things differently.
Right.
Get up the next day and do things differently. And you know what? Sometimes it's going to take some risk. Sometimes it's going to be hard. But you know what? My grandfather used to have this great saying, I never got anything in this life that I didn't get with this.
Unfortunately, personal responsibility seems to be a thing of the past.
If you aren't willing to embrace personal responsibility, well, you're probably not
Yeah.
going to be a very successful person in the world of business and your own personal financial situation, because no one's going to trust you to be in charge of anything worth paying a good salary for.
Well, let me throw in my opinion on this a little bit. I think it's very difficult to talk to teens because teens don't feel we understand the technology, that they're so much more advanced in how they're computing and their relationships. Right.
Even in my generation, yeah.
Right.
Oh,
But an effort needs to be done to talk about this.
You spent